Now, once upon a time in professional wrestling, it used to matter what the fans thought.
For example, all you parents out there with kids, when your kids misbehave, you give the New Day a call. The New Day comes over to your house, and we will fight your children.
Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of wrestling sucks, but when it's good, it's fucking great. Wrestling is melodrama. Wrestling is mythology. Wrestling is action. Wrestling is comic books. The only thing wrestling isn't is wrestling.
Who wants to take back professional wrestling?
Welcome, everyone, to episode 103 of Around the Ring. As always, today, I am one of your hosts, Floyd, your Floyd and Savior Johnson, and with me, as always, is the brains behind this operation, Dave Silky Brown. How you doing today, Silky?
I am well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am great. I'll be heading to Dallas for Great Balls of Fire. It'll be me, Rusty, Steve, and Gleanne. All members of the club are going to support Samoa Joe. As I tweeted out, I'm only going to see Joe. Everything else, anything other than that match is going to be kind of like the cherry on top of life.
Yeah, I can see that. That's and we will do some predictions of the Great Balls of Fire here in just a little bit. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward really kind of to two things on this show. One of them being the main event, primarily being the main event. Though I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also, there's a part of me that's real scared they're gonna just squash Joe. But we'll get to that in a minute, because there's a lot to talk about since the last time we were on. Speaking of, if you haven't listened to the last episode, please go back and do so. We had Daniel Rube from Blow, the Balthazar's League of War, was on the show. Great time having him on. We talked for that was like a 3-hour long show. Lots of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He will be back, and yeah, so that's good stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, they have an event tonight.
Yeah, their show is tonight. I would be there if I wasn't. I pre-planned to go to WWE before I knew his event was happening. So their show is tonight is it at the Blue Note tonight?
It's at the Blue Note, which is in Oklahoma City, up on the north side of town on Northwest 23rd Street. It's going to be a lot of fun. As I asked this question, and he agreed, it's like the Oki version of Kaiju Big Battle from Japan. If you don't know what that is, Google that mess. It's hilarious. So this should be a lot of fun. It's like Kaiju Big Battle meets Glow. Another thing we're going to talk about a little bit later on, the Netflix Glow, because I got to watch it all this week. And we'll want to go into a little bit more, because we didn't talk a whole lot about it last week. But where do you want to start? I know traditionally we start with WWE, and we didn't last week, and that threw some folks off. But I know we also like to go chronologically, and there was some big stuff happened before WWE had any shows this week. So where do you want to start with?
Let's start with the G1 and G2. Their show, I'm going to say this, their shows are 4 hours apiece, so I don't plan on going match by match. What were your highlights from the G1 and G2?
So,
G1 Day 1 and Day 2, sorry.
So, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not take detailed notes. It was just one of these things. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to watch this and enjoy it. Some of my favorite stuff. Everything, and admittedly, with being a long show, and there's some people in there that I don't have an investment in. I don't really care all that much about. So there was stuff I fast forwarded through. I did not watch that train wreck Tanahashi Billy Gunn match, I've heard it's one of the most god awful things you'll ever sit through. So I
didn't think it was that bad. I just think compared to what you're used to doing on title matches in New Japan, it didn't live up to the other matches, But if you want to talk about a classic wrestling story, it was the big guy versus the little guy, and that's how. I mean, they did less moves, but they sold more, in my opinion. And it was just, of course, when you have Kenny Omega on your match, on your show, it's going to be hard to have a great singles match.
Yeah, Kenny Omega just, in some ways, he makes everyone else look just bad by comparison because he's so good.
On that show that Billy Gunn's on, Kenny Omega had 2 matches. Billy Gunn didn't really have a chance.
Yeah, no. But my highlights, anything that had Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll, I enjoy the hell out of both of those guys. Everything dealing with Roppongi Vice and the end of Roppongi Vice, which makes me sad if for no other reason than that theme song will not be heard again. That was cool. On night 2, Ricochet's appearance, which will not appear on Access TV this week, or did not appear on the Access TV version. The things that to me really stood out is Kenny Omega is a damn superstar. He by the time it was all said and done, his promo he cut after the match where he won the IWGP United States Championship, all the matches I saw that he had were just fantastic. And this is not taking anything away from Tomohiro Ishii, who was also incredible, biting the ropes to try to not get Dragon Suplex through a table. Just amazing spot. But there was one really sad note through the whole thing, and that was the commentary.
And honestly, I thought that was the biggest news out of the show, is how phoned in the announcing on it. I am a longtime fan of Jim Ross. I think the first time I ever heard him call a match was in the mid-'80s on Mid-South Wrestling. So I'm not here. I will never, to me, he is like, if Vince McMahon is a god of wrestling, he's like, JR is like the saint of great commentating. I mean, he is what I put everybody's level on. It is, the line is below JR or above JR, and there's not too many people above JR. So I want to say that too. And this is not me hedging my bets at all, but I felt like it actually took away from the show.
It did. On the first night, he didn't know the name of the lethal injection, and neither did Josh Barnett. I'm like, I'm sure Jay Lethal has appeared on some episode of Access, which the two of you have been working on for over a year. To not know names of moves, I mean, at least Barnett would try to explain what the moves did. He at least tried to just sound like he wasn't phoning it in. To be fair to JR is going through a horribly rough spot in his life.
Yeah, some point I brought up is that, he's probably trying to put his life back together in a lot of ways, and wrestling works as a distraction. As far as I know, and this is like social media stuff, this is completely from social media, Stone Cold was in town in Long Beach, and I imagine when him and Jim Ross get together, a few beers will pop back. So, I'm not saying JR was inebriated. I would never say that as far as that on the show. I'm just saying he didn't sound like himself. I can give him a pass this one time, but it just felt phoned in.
It felt super phoned in. I think now, especially that he has this new contract with WWE, I think he gives no shits about New Japan. I'm not sure that he ever really cared that much about New Japan. When he called Wrestle Kingdom, what was it, 9 or 10, the one he did with Matt Stryker, it wasn't very good. When we did our top five commentators a long time ago, I did put him number 2 on my list, and you were shocked that he wasn't my number 1. But the more I think about it, if I had to redo that list now, he might not be number 2. Because I don't know. If I'm thinking, okay, when he was in WCW, he and Tony Schiavone were a great pair. I enjoyed them. But I don't know, man. His recent performances, When he called that the incredible match at TakeOver Chicago, the European title match, or the British title, the United Kingdom, whatever the fuck that thing's called. Even then, he was just kind of there, and occasionally you heard his voice, and it was kind of reassuring. But Nigel McGuinness called that match.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he does his homework.
Yeah, no, I don't think he. And again, to be fair, he just had some horrible shit go down. So, but if he's not if he is not mentally there to do this, he should tell them, "Hey guys, I really can't do this right now. I've had a tragedy in my life, and I cannot give any fucks. We have two choices. I can either not do this, or I can phone it in so bad the internet will hate all of us for a while." And I'm sure that conversation never happened, because he seems like the kind of guy, if he has made a commitment, he's going to see it through.
All those years of making your guy show up to work, you know what? He shows up to work.
Exactly.
And like I said, I give him a lot of credit for doing what he's doing. But yeah, it was bad. And it's like, it actually took away from it. One of the friends of the show, Ryan, said he watched the second day on mute, and to say that about anybody other than Michael Cole actually depresses me. So it was a bit of a shock. I mean, like I said, it was a bit of a shock, and to me, this is the only time, to me personally, that he has been, like, noticeably bad. So I can give everyone a one night type thing. You had a bad night. I mean, I've heard from other people they had other times, and to me, it didn't really take away from it. But on this particular case, it took away from the amazing matches that we were seeing. So yeah, like I said, just to me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, hey, charge it up to one really bad performance, and hopefully the next show that he'll be on is the Women's Classic, the Mae Young Classic. So hopefully he improves on that.
And I think part of it is his heart is in WWE. His heart's never been in New Japan, and I think when he was fired from WWE, he put his heart into other things because he couldn't go back to WWE at that point. Now that he can go back now that he is back in WWE, he doesn't care about New Japan. I mean, there was that comment at the end when during Kenny Omega's promo, where he said, next time we're going to go to a 20,000 or 10,000 seat arena, and JR literally said, yeah, good luck with that. And I'm like, dude, is your mic not muted? Are you trying to get fired? I mean, are you pulling a Scott Hall when he was sick of WCW doing the DX crotch chop to the camera, trying to get fired thing? Because I don't know. And Josh Barnett tried, but you mentioned Michael Cole. I will take Michael Cole's performance on the Beast in the East special over Jim Ross's performance on these two shows. Hands down. Michael Cole did a better job with Byron Saxton on that show in Tokyo than Barnett and Ross did, especially Jim Ross, on these two shows.
All right. Well, you know what? And then, like I said, my thought is the whole pass option, but I understand. Yeah, Michael Cole's best is better than JR's worst.
Yes. Yeah. And that's essentially what we had. We had You're comparing Michael Cole's best work with JR's worst.
Yes. Michael Cole's best is better than JR's.
But I just
take JR's average over Michael Cole's best.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. But the other thing I kept thinking, I was like, Kevin Kelly would have done so good on this. It would have been just leaps and bounds better with Kevin Kelly doing the announcing. And even, who is it, Tomatonga, even sent out a tweet to Kevin Kelly saying something along the lines of, I can't wait to hear you again, where someone actually knows the name of our moves. I think the New Japan talent was kind of pissed. I mean, it's kind of insulting that someone can't take a few minutes to learn your moves. And I'm not even
showed that he had a paper with the faces and the wrestlers' names on it.
Yeah, and I'll forget when he screwed up and he thought Evil was Ibushi because they both had masks on at that point and it was probably dark. That part bothered me much less than him not knowing anything about the characters, anything about not knowing the lethal injection. He knew it the second night, and the second night was an improvement over the first night. I will give him that.
But I can say this, and I imagine after he got the contract with the WWE, and this is again complete speculation. I am speculating. Probably asked him to get out of it, right? And he probably called New Japan and said, "Hey, I want to get out of this." And New Japan was like, "We really don't have anybody to replace you with, and that's going to be in country or whatever that's available. That's why we're using you." And Jim Ross, being the person he is, he's of his word, went to the show. But I don't know, people, if you don't want to do something and you're forced to do it, I don't know how good it ever is. When I really don't want to go to work, like if I request a vacation day and someone says, "You can't have that vacation day," that's going to probably be my shittiest day at work.
Oh yeah, that's true. That from that standpoint makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna say with it, he got to hang out with a lot of his friends, but I imagine WWE did not want him calling that match, and I imagine he tried to get out of it. This is just me using, the simplest solution is probably the best one. I mean, he probably tried to get out of it, and they were like, "Well, we got you on the contract, so we need you to show up," and he showed up on the day he didn't want to work.
And on top of that, it's not just a New Japan contract; it's Access TV.
Yeah.
So that makes it more complicated. Because if it was just a New Japan contract, they could have easily just said fine and flown in Kevin Kelly. And Kevin, as he calls for New Japan World, all of the English commentary shows, and he does an excellent job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it all depends on if Kevin Kelly was even available.
True.
He might not even be available. It just, to me, it came off as so noticeably bad, and he has never been that noticeably bad. He's been not as good some days, but that's the first time I would ever use the word bad with Jim Ross.
But, okay, so enough of the Jim Ross. What did you think of the wrestling?
The wrestling is second to none. It's the best wrestling in the world. The guys know how to work. It's hard hitting. It's believable. Most importantly, I thought it's treated as a legit sport, even though it isn't. There isn't the announcers calling it performers. There isn't a bunch of behind the scenes videos out there where you can tell people are best friends and they talk about, no, these are wrestlers wrestling, and it's about the wrestling. I can say the Roppongi Vice, the way they went about their business and broke up, I don't want to see it a lot in the WWE, but I would like to see it every now and then. I would like to see a tag team just go their separate ways. Like right now, Mojo and Zach are in a group, and it looks like Mojo wants to go in the singles. I don't want either one of them to turn heel. I just like Mojo and Zach's like, hey, we took our shot, we didn't make it, let's go our separate ways and both be in singles competition. It was just. You don't have to turn someone heel to break up a tag team.
True. But that's not going to happen. They're already planting the seeds of a Mojo heel turn. That's coming.
Oh, absolutely. Or a Zack Ryder heel turn. I don't know which one they're going to do. Zack Ryder, to me, needs a little... his character's been the same for a long time.
Woo. You know it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to go heel with Zack Ryder, I think that would probably be bigger shock than Mojo turning, which it looks obvious that he's about to turn.
Yeah.
But that's me with wrestling. Any type of storyline, I'm all about, hey, this is what everybody thinks. Do something else.
True. Yeah, I think Beretta moving on to the heavyweight division is going to be great. He is so good. He has been just so incredible. And it's so funny and I think I mentioned this before on the show, but when I first saw Roppongi Vice, it was on Ring of Honor. I was not impressed. I did not get it. And then I saw him on some of the New Japan shows, and I was like, holy fuck, these guys are great. And I've been a fan ever since. And I think Trent is fantastic. He's got a good look. He's
the last 3 matches they worked, he's done most of the work. Like, there's always this big spot, and then Rocky's out for a great portion of the match.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if they've known for a while that, okay, we're going to do the split, because New Japan is really good about long-term booking, and that they've, okay, so in that, it makes you wonder if in that whole process that they went through and it's like, okay, in these matches, we need to make Trent look like a, you know, super strong, like a damn maniac, so that way when the team breaks up, he can go on and he's got a lot of legitimacy behind him. And maybe that was not a conscious thing. It was just, you know, happened to be a good thing. One thing I heard on Voices of Wrestling is they're thinking that Rocky is going to end up running the Los Angeles dojo, because the plan is that New Japan is going to open a dojo in California, and that Rocky Romero probably will be the guy to end up running it. Which I think would be a good idea. He is great, and from everything I've heard, he's also a really good teacher. So, and I think New Japan having a dojo in the United States would be a great thing, because
attract a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, they have produced some incredible talent. Look what they did to Juice Robinson. C.J. Parker comes in as a freaking joke. And that dojo turned him around. That dojo produced Jay White. Jay White is fantastic. So yeah, that dojo has produced all sorts of people over the years. And if there was one in America, if anything can give, I mean, if you compare that with a performance center and the kind of quality of completely homegrown talent, I think the New Japan dojo probably beats it out. I think that's safe to say that the New Japan dojo has created more homegrown talent than the Performance Center has. Now, to be fair, that dojo's been around for like 30 years, so it's probably with the same equipment. But yeah, and if I sound like I'm fawning over New Japan, maybe I am a little bit. These shows were great. The more and more I watch New Japan, the more I listen to podcasts about New Japan, the more I like it. And it's so much easier to follow now since they have English commentary on the biggest shows, since they have a lot of guys that speak English. And yeah, I know that can sound xenophobic or whatever, and I don't mean it in that way at all. It's just nice to understand what the hell people are saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will not watch a show where I don't understand what people are saying. I mean, I will go see movies and subtitles with subtitles. I have no problem with that. But generally, it's just them speaking Japanese. And I don't know if I'm just a WWE guy from growing up, WCW guy. The commentating does a lot for me. It tells a story, especially when I don't watch the program, watch the product as much. But I do have an unpopular opinion about New Japan. The shows are too freaking long.
What, you don't enjoy that 30-minute intermission part?
It's too freaking long. It was freaking 4 hours.
Yeah, and this is the case. Their shows, I think, are too long.
WrestleMania and the 3 or 4 shows every now and then being that long. But God damn, they got to bring me a 3-hour show when they're in America. Because that 4-hour crap was ridiculous. And they had like 8-man matches, 10-man matches, 6-man. How many multi-man matches you need?
Well, that's a New Japan thing. If you look at a lot of New Japan cards, they have far more multi-man tag matches than they have singles matches. Singles matches in New Japan are extremely important. And actually, in a lot of ways, so are these multi-man matches. You pay attention to who actually gets the pinfall and who takes the fall. That stuff... Unlike these multi-man matches in WWE, which we've become so accustomed to, that mean exactly dick and squat, in New Japan they have meaning. So it's an adjustment from what we're used to watching. But yeah, no, these shows, I think they were this long, I think, because it was a 2-night special deal. Okay. And I think if they were running... Or let me put it this way, when they start running regular shows in the States, I think they're probably going to be, 3-hour shows. Maybe 4 hours if you count the intermission. If you say there's a 30 or 45 minute intermission, and the rest of it adds up to nearly 4 hours type of thing. But yeah, those shows were long. Wrestle Kingdom is a very long show. WrestleMania is a very long show. But I'll forgive them. This is their first time in the United States. It's the first time, having these shows. So
WrestleMania was ridiculously long.
Yeah, I can't even imagine sitting through all that in one.
Yeah. Hurt. I had pee. Tired. I'm just flat out sleepy at the end of the show. I'm trying to give Undertaker a send off, and I'm ready to take a nap.
There was another big event that happened. Did you have anything else on the New Japan G1 specials?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. But one question: were you surprised that Kenny Omega won?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I can't even remember if we did predictions and if we did, who we said. But yeah, Kenny Omega, I think, especially in hindsight.
Jay Lethal, I remember saying specifically Jay Lethal because he worked with ROH, but I didn't know, Kenny being in America, if he's in America more, that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for people, because I know a lot of people that have wanted to either book or work with him, and he's pretty much stays in Japan.
Yeah, he's Canadian actually. But yeah, I think, oh, you mean if he ends up being based here?
I know he's Canadian, but I was saying him working in America.
Yeah, I think he will be working in America more. And what will be interesting in the long term with this is to see, how much of this is, okay, maybe they just do more joint shows with CMLL, maybe they do more joint shows with Ring of Honor, and then they do, 3 or 4 strictly New Japan shows a year kind of thing. I could see them doing that, especially the first couple of years. And you know what? You got to give credit to Ring of Honor for helping to bring New Japan awareness to American audiences. I think that and the popularity of the Bullet Club and the Young Bucks has a lot to do with it. There are, hardcore New Japan fans out there, but the fact that it's become more readily available and more so in English, and you're able to see a lot of these guys at Ring of Honor shows, on Ring of Honor pay-per-views and TV, helps you get to know them. So yeah, and I think I don't think they're going to sever the relationship with Ring of Honor or anything like that. I think it'll end up still being mutually beneficial for both groups in the long run.
Yeah, imagine Kenny defending his title at a few Ring of Honor shows.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would be shocked if we did not get an IWGP United States title defense at some of the bigger Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Hell, you could even have him once they eventually get to the he and Cody having a feud, because that's coming at some point. They could do some of that on Ring of Honor shows. So that's pretty much it with the G1 New Japan stuff. Let's one other big thing happened this weekend before we move on to WWE, and that was Slammiversary 15, the first official GFW event. Impact, former TNA, now becoming Global Force Wrestling. I only have a few real thoughts on this. And it's not anything match by match or anything like that. Because a lot of the matches I didn't know much about. I have zero investment with 90% of their roster. So that there's that. But I thought they did an excellent job in making that show feel super important. Even you could have turned that on and not known anything about the history of TNA, Impact, GFW, none of that. And it felt important. You knew this was a big show for this company. The crowd was extra hyped. It actually seemed like there were more people in that building than normal. Because sometimes the Impact tapings, when I do flip it on, the crowd looks like they're asleep. But this was they were on their feet. The commentary I thought was really, really good. And I kept thinking, just hire these guys. fuck those 2 other jabrones you've had using. Or if it doesn't work out these guys long term, Access TV, hire these guys because they were really good.
Bro, Robert Flores is a former ESPN Sports Center anchor and ESPN person, and he works for the MLB network and a few of those networks. So pretty much this is what he does. And the thing I give him credit for that I definitely took away from Jim Ross was that he did his homework. He knew everything about. He knew everything about Global Force Impact Wrestling. He knew every storyline. He knew every move. He seems so natural. And as far as I can tell, as far as I know, this is the first wrestling show he's called, and he just seems so natural.
Man, that's impressive because he would both of them, but yeah, they were great.
Well, Don West is just exciting. That's his gimmick. That's what he does. He's just really excited. Everything's the best thing he ever saw. He's a natural salesman. He used to work for QVC. I mean, that's what he does. So as a color guy, he was perfect.
And they need to just fuck Josh Matthews. Screw him. Fire him.
I was going to say, I don't think they're going to be able to get Robert Flores permanently because I kind of threw out some big names there that he works for.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but let's be realistic. Even if things really turn around for GFW, how often are they going to have tapings? Once a month for 2 nights?
Yeah. Oh, and you know, Jeff Jarrett will not get rid of Jeremy Borash in any way ever.
Yeah, but he can give him a different job, man.
Yeah. I mean, I completely understand. I just, like I said, the only problem I have with Josh Matthews and Jeremy Borash was the announcer feud. When they are regularly calling matches, I don't have a problem with it.
I can't stand them. And I also hate the Pope. I think he's awful. I think I'll take Percy Watson over the Pope. Maybe not David Otunga.
I just say the show in general. I have to say this about it, and this is just from me. Anybody else can have their own opinion, and I know you will. You all will. Watching New Japan the night before and then watching Slammiversary kind of made me not enjoy Slammiversary.
Well, it's like you went to the best burger joint in the world and you got just a decked out, super awesome bacon cheeseburger with all the fixins, and now I'm getting hungry, and you savored that sucker, and the next night you got a Big Mac.
Yep.
And Big Macs are good.
Yeah,
but not in comparison.
That's exactly what happened. It kind of hurt me. Kind of hurt. And Alberto Del Rio and Bobby Lashley, they're just not. I mean, they're just not amazing workers.
Nope.
I mean, Alberto Del Rio may never hurt anyone or whatever, always be in the right spot. It's just nothing exciting about him. I think Sanjay Dutt and Low Key. And then the tag match with Moose and D'Angelo Williams, I think those were the 2 matches I enjoyed the most. No, actually, no. Erased all of that. The match I enjoyed the most was Rosemary versus Sienna.
Yeah, see, I think I fast-forwarded through most of that.
Oh, God, that was the best match on the show.
Okay. To be fair, I really did. I fast-forwarded through or watched on super high speed the vast majority of the show. It
was super hard hitting, and now the week's been going. There was this spot where Rosemary shoots out Miss, right?
Right.
Like a lot of Great Muta, and it's supposed to sting your face. This awesome spot where literally Sienna puts up her hands, catches the mist, and it was like plays it off as burning her hands.
That was great. I did see that.
It uses it to rub it in Rosemary's face and then do the finisher. I just thought that was ingenious. Who freaking thought of that? I've never even saw, all those years of Great Muta and all the years of everyone that spits mist, I had never seen that done. So I just thought that was completely creative. That was my favorite match of the show. Shout out to D'Angelo Williams as the football player. Probably the best in-ring performance I've ever seen by a guest.
Holy crap, no kidding. Can that guy get signed?
Yeah, he retired.
Oh.
He said that was my debut and my retirement. He said I did it once, and I only did it for my uncle who raised me on wrestling. Which, believe me, I have said this before, D'Angelo Williams, every year I've been at Access, no matter what city we've been in, he's been there.
I tell you what, man, he once he's done with football, seriously, he could have a career in wrestling. He was really good. Your original comment about the two matches you, other than the women's match, you enjoyed were the Moose tag team match and then the X Division match. I agree. Those were the highlights to me of the whole thing. And D'Angelo Williams being just he was awesome. I was like, holy fuck, who knew this kid who's never wrestled could just make it look so good. But then poor guy did look like kind of like a little person next to Moose. I mean,
oh yeah, he's a cruiserweight. You know, he's a running back, but he's about 210, 215 pounds maybe.
Yeah. So my only other thought overall on this is that the GFW belts are ugly as sin. Those are some of the
cheaply looking belts ever.
They're so fucking ugly. And so here's my question with the and I know they have not shown the new titles yet, but eventually we're going to get new straps. And so as it lays out now, there is a world champion or global champion, whatever the fuck they're going to call it. There is the tag team champion. There's the women's champion. There's the X Division champion, and then there is the whatever belt Moose has. What's that called again? Grand champion.
The grand champion.
Okay, so I expect the X Division championship is going to function essentially like a cruiserweight, light heavyweight type of thing. Because isn't that what it originally was, more or less?
Really. It was always supposed to be about no limits, but smaller wrestlers tend to wrestle. But Samoa Joe's first belt was the X Division title.
And isn't that when kind of a lot of people were like, I don't know about this, the X Division. That kind of hurt the division, I think, to some folks.
To some people, but to me, it elevated the division just because, I mean, it sold Joe. Joe is a heavyweight that moves like a cruiserweight.
True.
And the fact that he could wrestle that style, being that much bigger than everybody else, I think did more for the story of Joe than the X Division belt.
I think going forward, especially now that they have this Grand Championship, the Grand Championship, it just needs to become a secondary title, a la an Intercontinental U.S. title thing.
I don't think they're getting rid of the rules on it, though. They're not going to get rid of the rounds. I think they're sticking with that.
Oh, that's so stupid. Well,
the wrestlers tend to like it. They like it. It's what differentiates the belt from the world title. I mean, it's completely different rules. So it's like you could be the best grand champion ever, as in being the best at that, and not be good in what would be considered a traditional match.
Yeah, but then, I mean, the point of a secondary title is to give people something else to fight for and as a stepping stone to the big title.
And that's the X Division belt or the Grand Championship. Either way, it can be looked at as that.
See, I would actually move without putting rigid rules on it. I would have the X Division function more or less as a junior heavyweight, cruiserweight division. And then, but, I mean, you could have people move out of that and move up to fight for the other belts. But that's just me.
I think that's what you like. You like the whole idea of New Japan. They have divisions. I mean, like when Kenny Omega decided he was going to start wrestling heavyweights, he actually made the announcement that he wasn't a junior anymore. And I think that's what you like, the more defined you're in this division.
You know, it's weird. I do and I don't. Because I like that there are divisions, but I don't want it to be rigid. If, like, for example, I want to see Ricochet have a match with Okada. And unless it's a multi-man tag match, that's probably never going to happen. But sweet mother of God, can you imagine how great that would be?
Yes, and I think that's a part of New Japan. Can you imagine? You know, because they kind of do it that rigid way, you still have dream matchups that you haven't had.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I think we can all agree on is that WWE doesn't know how to do it for shit. because their cruiserweight division is just not on good legs right now. But we'll get there in a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it got a little worse this week.
It did. Well, that's probably a good time to start talking WWE, unless you had any other thoughts on Slammiversary.
Did not. It was a C show. That's all I gave it. It was like to me again. And this is where this week was the week the Global Force or TNA lost me. I do have extra time, so I will probably watch the shows, but I won't talk about it very much because they keep having these big things to really, really knock it out the park. And I'm not saying they're going to blow up overnight, but to really bring their fanhood back, families back in with a good storyline, a good something. And they keep missing. They keep swinging and missing. As good as Slammiversary was, as nice as the D'Angelo Williams news was, I felt like it was a swing and a miss.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Both Raw and SmackDown were from Phoenix, a 2-night stop.
What?
Yeah, weren't they both in Phoenix?
I thought so. Yeah, I was just kind of like really excited. Phoenix got a double show.
They did. Lucky Phoenix. So, what for you, Monday Night Raw? What stood out?
What stood out mostly for Monday Night Raw was the interesting aspect of that Joe Lesnar interview, where it was a face, like they were in different parts of the building, and then Lesnar was just like ignoring him and playing him off like he didn't care about him, and Joe just goes freaking crazy and starts chasing him down through the show. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That was cool because you know what the thing it also did, you did not have your atypical one guy standing over the other on the go home show, which means obviously so and so is winning. That not happen. So that was nice.
And the whole idea that Brock Lesnar, I don't chase anyone. I'm Brock Lesnar. I don't have to chase you. I don't have to run to fight you. I'm the big star. I think that's the perfect way for his character to work. Like, even though he's pissed at Joe for beating up Paul Heyman, even though he's pissed at Joe for kicking him in the face, he didn't rush to fight Joe because he doesn't have to because he's Brock Lesnar.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, they did. The whole feud has been fantastic. And I've enjoyed this. I've gotten to the point after this weekend and between watching this New Japan stuff, I watched Ring of Honor and Slammiversary, and watching even Glow, and watching Raw and SmackDown, it made me realize, wow, I kind of don't care about 75 to 90% of the rosters on the main roster of WWE. They have some of the most absolutely talented people in the world, some of the best wrestlers, some of my favorite wrestlers, and I don't really give a fuck about their shows. That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really, and to me, it's not bad. To me, it's not great, but week-to-week shows, it's oversaturation. I mean, and that's what you're getting at right now. You're getting oversaturated on Raw and SmackDown. And they don't have a storyline, the idea of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, DX, or any storyline that is, remotely interesting right now. Like right now, the two biggest storylines to me that actually make me care about wrestling is Joe Lesnar, their feud, and Braun and Roman Reigns. I mean, Enzo and Cass, that is two people that I thought, man, if they should have got one last shot at the title, and they basically said, hey, if we don't win the title from Cesaro and Sheamus, we'll break up. They lose, and then they break up. Because nobody wants to see Big Cass versus Enzo.
No, so, yeah, this is, and we'll do, here in just after we talk about Raw, we'll go ahead and do our predictions for Great Balls of Fire, which is tonight.
Yeah, that was talking about Monday. Even their interaction, no one wanted to see it.
Yeah, I loved Enzo's promo, though. I thought there were essentially four things that I took away from Monday Night Raw. Enzo's promo was fantastic, and I love the way that he took flight running after Cass backstage when Cass was doing his really bad interview with whoever the hell was. So, what did you think about this, Cass? I don't know. It's stupid. And then next thing you know is Enzo is, I don't know if someone threw him, if he if he jumped off of something, but he literally landed on Cass' head. And that was awesome. I loved that. So for me, there was that. My other takeaways from Monday Night Raw, Cedric Alexander got a really good pop when he won his match. I still think there's tons of money in this guy, and I'd really rather him go to NXT and be there for a while and then come back and not be part of 205 Live. I'm really glad they're doing something with Bo Dallas, even if it's just being Mrs. Lackey. And I love that Dean Ambrose made fun of the Great Balls of Fire name, because what is completely obvious with Dean Ambrose is he gives no fucks about any of it, I think. Because half the time his performance is so lackluster. But it's weird. It's like, you watch Dean on TV, no one cares. But the crowds, when people, and I've heard this from people in arenas, when his music hits, people lose their mind. And I don't understand this disconnect. It's like, why is he so over live, but not on TV?
I mean, he's really attractive. So
well, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, if you hear the live crowds, you hear most of those voices chanting. Whenever I'm in the building, they're women.
I mean, they got good taste. He's a good-looking guy.
You know, that's the thing. I'm just saying, it's just like Roman Reigns. If you took the male crowd out of a show, Roman Reigns is the most over guy there. Men are just boo louder.
Yeah, there you go.
Boo louder for the cheer. Because like I said, women, he's over with women.
Yeah, there. So one other thing on the whole Miz Dean segment, with Miz standing tall at the end of that, it makes me afraid that Dean is going to get the IC title back, which I just don't want. The only other thing that really stood out to me was Strowman kicking of Apollo Crews mid-moonsault was awesome. That was very cool. But that's about all I had for Monday Night Raw.
That was the kick heard around the internet because it was literally everywhere. It was like, oh, you think you're having a bad day? At least you're not Apollo Crews. I saw a few of those. It's like Mondays be like, and then they show Apollo Crews getting. Yeah, it was everywhere this week. So, yeah. So,
and it was great, and he just flew. And I'm really hoping that that this whole Titus brand, Titus Worldwide, turns into something for Apollo, because I think he could really, really benefit, and God knows he needs something. But so you want to go ahead and talk about Great Balls of Fire?
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
All right, so we got a pre-show match, one that I'm actually going to watch. Akira Tozawa challenging Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. Excuse me. Titus O'Neil in his corner.
It's whether the power of Tozawa can reach the Neville level. My perfect idea, and like I said, this is honestly coming after watching New Japan. The match, these are one of two matches that I feel like shouldn't, especially with SummerSlam coming next month, shouldn't actually lead to a defined winner. I would like to see Tozawa win by DQ or countout or some way.
Agreed, because Neville should not lose this title in a pre-show match on a throwaway pay-per-view named after a song that's, older than some people's grandparents.
Yeah. No, but having Titus, he to me, if you're really pushing the Titus brand, Neville doesn't lose his belt, of course. I don't think he was going to lose his belt anyway. I just think if Neville wins, it takes too much away from the feud. I felt that way, and we'll talk about this person later, with Austin Aries. The first match Austin Aries and Neville had, Neville won. And I thought that was dumb. I thought the best way, if you want an extended feud, would be to have Austin Aries win but not win the title. If you want an extended feud.
Exactly. Yeah. And
an extended, a 3-month feud that ends with the same person winning all 3 months. It's like, why would you do it that way?
Yeah, and yeah, that made no sense. This is, Tozawa is one of the guys in 205 Live that has a lot of potential. And I think him being part of Titus Worldwide is an interesting concept. I was kind of fantasy booking in my head different ways this could go, and if this ends up where he doesn't stick around with Titus because this feud doesn't work out, if that turned into a feud with him and Apollo Crews, that could be really interesting. Or maybe even they could become a tag team for the Titus brand. And
yeah, my original thought is when Titus was leaning more heel, I was like, okay, he gets behind Tozawa, and then you find out that Neville's been his client the whole time. And then I thought that would have been a great way to go. But now it seems like fans are getting behind Titus O'Neil, and they're leaning more towards a face push. So that's why I was like, if you're going to do that, they need to extend the feud. Because the only thing with Neville is, if you're going to keep him the champion for an extended period of time, which everyone thinks is best for the title, you need to do it in a way where he's wrestling the same person 2 or 3 months in a row.
Agreed. Yeah, in fact, I'm a firm believer that he should not lose that belt until Royal Rumble. He should hold that thing for a year. Because you want to talk about a way to establish a title is keep it on someone for a year. So that's at the very least, you don't drop it at some B show during a pre-match, for fuck's sake. Maybe SummerSlam or Survivor Series. I would say, since he won at the Rumble, take it to the Rumble.
This show has, even though you call it a B show based on its name, I feel like it was booked like an A show.
Yes, you're right. No, it was, because all the big names are on here except Finn Balor, and it's a big show feel, mostly I think because of the main event. Even though, I think what's happened though is this was booked as a secondary B show. Originally, the concept was, well, we got to have Brock on something. We got to work him up to the bigger shows, and so we're going to give him this feud with Samoa Joe. It's going to be a throwaway thing, and then Joe came out and just knocked it out of the park, and I think that took WWE officials by surprise, and they're like, whoa. And they better, if they're not looking at this and going, wow, we have something special with this guy, we need to either draw this out, put the belt on him, something. This could lead to, there could be kind of a non-finish with this match, and this could end up to be you could have a fatal 4-way at Brooklyn SummerSlam. Lesnar defending against Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe walks away with the belt. He could pin Roman Reigns. He could do, it could be a situation where something, who knows? So many different ways I could go. But you could easily put that belt on Joe, have him as a regular person on the show, and he is very believable. He's gone toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar a couple of times. He walked up into Brock's face and just headbutted him. Just straight up, boom. And who does that? And then kicked him in the mouth. It was just, yeah. So, but let's go on through this card. Next, we've got the 30-minute Iron Man match for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. Sheamus and Cesaro against the Hardy Boys.
I'm really looking forward to this match. We haven't had an Iron Man match since Bayley and Sasha, a tag team match with 4 guys that can work their asses off. One of the best tag teams in WWE history against the surprisingly working Sheamus and Cesaro, which it proves mostly, like, it feels like Cesaro's a modern-day Arn Anderson or Billy Gunn or whatever you want to go to. I say Arn Anderson because this is his 3rd person that he's been tag team champions with, and every tag team that he's in, they're automatically one of the best in the company. And what I'm referring to is Chris Hero, Tyson Kidd, and now Sheamus. He elevates the other guys, and it really is awesome for him.
Hold on, though. I've just got to stop you. You just used a comparison in the same sentence: Arn Anderson and Billy Gunn.
I said Arn Anderson and Cesaro. Billy Gunn, I was talking more about being a tag team specialist.
Oh, okay, because I was like,
not in-ring performances.
Okay.
I was just talking about.
Okay, just
Billy Gunn and Arn Anderson in the same sentence. That hurts my feelings. Okay.
No,
I'm just. If I said it that way, I want everyone to call me out because I respect Billy Gunn. Like I said, for a long time, he was the best athlete in the WWE. Honestly, his career and Kofi Kingston's career is quite similar. If you look at their careers, they're quite similar. Like, they were always the best athlete, but there was clear the ceiling that they were never going to get past. So, don't get me wrong. Billy Gunn, whatever. Great trainer, great. I'm not poo-pooing Billy Gunn's career, but Arn Anderson's my favorite wrestler of all time.
I think it's with Billy Gunn. He's a great athlete. He has never been a great wrestler. I think that is safe to say. He is not a great worker. He was always passable in the ring. But yeah, he's a really freaking great athlete. But who do you think?
Any match you put him in, he's automatically a threat just because of how big he was.
Right. Yeah, true that. So, who you think Sheamus and Cesaro are holding on to the belts, or we think we're...
I keep hearing that WWE and Anthem actually are in negotiations for the broken character. And, of course, if you're going to do the broken gimmick, he has to break. And what's a better way to break than in an Iron Man match? Because we set it up. I've set it up the last 2 times these people wrestle that this was going to lead to the broken gimmick. Jeff Hardy making some kind of fool of himself, and this lead to the launch of the broken gimmick. Tonight might be the night. It might be 2-2 with like a minute left, and Jeff Hardy takes an unnecessary risk, and Cesaro and Sheamus win it 3-2. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going with Sheamus and Cesaro tonight.
Good call, me too. Yeah, and I like the way you're thinking about that. Next up is the Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz with Maurice, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. The Miz Taraj taking on Dean Ambrose.
The Miz is super over right now. So
yeah, Miz needs to hold on to this. This Miz elevates this title, and Dean Ambrose he's just there. So yeah.
Did you hear the Miz's promo? When he said Dean Ambrose phones it in and all that kind of stuff, did you hear that?
Oh, promo? Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I was like, the Miz is a face. The Miz is a face. All he does is get on the mic and tell the truth, and he kind of runs down the other guys. So Dean Ambrose is going to have to either step up or step out because the Miz has called you out in front of everybody.
And this needs to be the end of this goddamn feud. I do not need to see these guys wrestle again.
Yeah, I can't say, I just it's one of those situations. Dean Ambrose, his character is lost right now, and, the Miz has saved him as long as he can save him. So it's time for the Miz to move on to bigger and better things. I'm hoping a nice feud with Finn Balor. That's who I've been wanting them to work with. And now that you have the idea of the Miz has 3 other people with him, you have made an overwhelming odd for Finn Balor. So you're not going to have an idea where Finn Balor just buries him.
Exactly. Next up we have Enzo Amore taking on Colin Cassidy, Big Cass. This needs one of 2 things needs to happen with this, I think. Cass destroys him in less than 2 minutes. Or Enzo wins with Schoolboy type of thing. Cass destroys him for 10 minutes. Possibly during the destruction, we hear, "Well, it's the Big Show," and Big Show slowly walks to the ring, setting up a Big Cass match at SummerSlam.
Which would probably be Big Show's last match.
And would be fitting him putting over another giant. So what do you think?
I can go with that. Any world where Enzo gets any significant offense in on Big Cass without it being a crotch shot or something that leads to it makes it really unbelievable. You're trying to push Big Cass over as this guy, and it's like I don't see Enzo causing any damage to him.
Exactly, and it's because it's not like. Well, because Enzo's not believable as either a fighter or a wrestler. He's believable as a guy who can take a punch and not give up. But he is not like... For example, if you put... he's a tall guy, but if you put Zack Sabre Jr. in the ring with Big Cass, I think everyone in their mind's going, Zack Sabre Jr. is going to twist this guy into a damn pretzel, and Cass is going to give up like a baby. Because Zack Sabre Jr. is believable. Yes, he's skinny, but he is a very believable wrestler. Enzo Amore is a great talker, but is also phenomenal at taking a punch. So he's going to get his ass whooped. At the end of it, Big Cass is standing over Enzo's dead body, no matter whether Enzo gets a schoolboy win or not. Do I? Yeah.
I agree.
Next up, we have Seth Rollins taking on Bray Wyatt.
Another great match. Like I said, this was booked like an A show. This was booked like a big Raw show. Love the singles aspect of this match. I honestly don't know who's going over. I just don't want Seth Rollins to go over with that knee. He needs to watch some New Japan Wrestling and learn how to throw a knee. And because I saw at least 5 guys that threw D's better than Seth Rollins. And in this case, I'm going to go with Bray, just off the top of my head, because he needs a win to me.
Yeah, Bray needs the win. Seth, this is a holdover feud that doesn't have any meaning or any repercussions at all. I would like to see... So, in fact, you know what would be kind of cool? Dean loses, Seth loses, Roman loses, they reform the Shield.
I was going to say, in this match, I would like to see Luke Harper and Eric Rowan both go to Raw.
I'm fine with that because they are doing dick all with both of those guys.
Yeah, they're not even on TV.
Yeah. And apparently Luke Harper is either just salty with his humor or not happy about it with his posts. But yeah, because you know what would be cool and what would be different, because I think everyone expects Roman Reigns in some huge high-profile singles match at SummerSlam, probably against Brock Lesnar or something. But what would be kind of cool is, so this match, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan come out. Bray wins by himself, and then they destroy Seth Rollins. And then, maybe Dean comes out to try to make a save or pulls Seth out. And then something on, maybe even on after the or during the ambulance match, they come out and destroy Roman, or help beat up on Roman and throw him into Braun and say, "There you go, buddy." And it sets up a Shield Wyatt feud for SummerSlam. That would be something that could help get everyone into Roman Reigns, and it would be something fun, and God knows, those 6 guys work beautifully together. So,
yeah, I'm all about the Dream SummerSlam matchup. My Dream SummerSlam matchup was somehow to get the Club versus the Shield. That was my Dream SummerSlam matchup. We're not going to get it, but that was my Dream SummerSlam matchup.
Yeah. Speaking of the Club, you think when Gallows and Anderson's contracts are over, then back to Japan?
No. The reason Gallows signed with America is so he could be with his family. That was a big reason. The interviews I've caught, that was a reason that they wanted to be here with their families. They were living in Japan for years, and no matter what anyone says about the WWE, how they use you, how they don't use it, they pay really, really well.
True. Now, Carl,
you're guaranteed at least a certain amount of money.
That is also true, but isn't Carl Anderson isn't his wife Japanese?
His hot wife is Asian, but I believe she is Asian American.
Okay, his hot wife. His hot Asian wife, how he always
She's American.
Okay. Next up, we've got Sasha Banks challenging Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. If Alexa loses, I'm going to be pissed.
I can go either way, because if you want to set up Sasha and Bayley in Brooklyn, for the especially after the Brooklyn matches they had with NXT, and then it leads to Sasha going heel, I'm okay with Sasha winning.
Well, okay, I shouldn't say I'm pissed, because I really don't care either way. I just don't think it's the right time to take the belt off Alexa Bliss.
I can if you're trying to stick with the long-going storyline that is Sasha versus Bayley in Brooklyn again.
Yeah, but you only have like less than you have about a month to make that work, and that's, I guess we'll see.
With the number one contenders match tomorrow, it works.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in an ambulance match. I guess whoever wins will tell us what future plans are.
Yeah.
There's probably more politics in this match than anything else.
Yeah, I don't see Roman Reigns losing a match where the toughest man loses, unless The Undertaker makes a surprise return tonight and costs them the match.
God, I don't want Taker back. He did his retirement angle. He just no.
Reigns calling Undertaker out at house shows has been a normal thing that's been going on, which to me is kind of a dickish, heelish thing to do. And I'm like, are you kind of doing a slow burn Roman turning heel type thing? His attitude normally changes, but that's the only way I see Braun losing tonight. I don't think either one should lose really fair, because I like Braun being the monster, and the fact that Roman Reigns can knock him out enough to not only put him in the ambulance but drive it away, that just seems out of character.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It seems like they booked themselves in a corner unless there's some type of, like I said, the Undertaker situation or some type of interference.
Yeah, I think we're far more likely to get the Wyatt family interfering than the Undertaker. But who knows? I mean, it is in Texas, so. But ask me how many fucks I give.
You don't give a lot. I'm very excited about this match. I like Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. It is one of my favorite matches. I mean, I love two big old motherfuckers just knocking the shit out of each other. I have no problem with that. I'm not expecting any like blocks and Kimura attempts or anything. I just want two guys to beat the shit out of each other.
There you go. And I'm sure that's what we're going to get. Also, I think that's what we're going to get in the main event.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, which match do you think goes on last? Braun and Roman or Brock and Joe?
Brock is the main event on anything. If they ever even went to Brock like, you're not going on last, he'll probably eat them. He'll probably eat them.
It probably.
He went on last at Mania because it was Taker. And you know, as old as Taker is, everyone's still afraid of that man. So.
Yep. So Samoa Joe challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. I want Joe to win this so bad.
Okay, so I have two acceptable outcomes to me. First, Joe wins. That'd be crazy. That'd be shocking. I'm wearing my Samoa Joe shirt. I honestly said this. It will be the first time in a long time I would probably shed a tear. Because the first time, if I've told the story before, the first time I ever saw Samoa Joe wrestle was at WrestleMania 20. The night before WrestleMania 20, it was a show in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Now, it was funny because Ring of Honor actually picked you up in a bus in New York and drove you to Elizabeth, New Jersey for their show, and then drove you back. It's one of the weirdest things. It was my first experience with Ring of Honor.
Man,
that was the first night I ever saw Joe wrestle. This big guy, and he didn't have the WWE look. I even said it back then. And he was doing the ole thing where he was kicking people. And to see him go from there as a guy that would never get signed to the WWE to being the Universal Champion tonight. Me seeing that match and that match. I actually saw him wrestle in TNA and NXT, and I feel like I've been a part of that career. It would be something amazing.
Very good. So what's the other acceptable outcome?
Double DQ, where they just get out and they have this long match, and then they just start going at each other, and the referees can't break it up, and he just throws the match out, and it leads to like a no DQ match at SummerSlam.
I don't know on this, because what I want to happen is I want this to turn into something more, because I think that this championship, I think Brock Lesnar's been good for it. I think long term they need to get the belt off of Brock, and I think putting it on Roman Reigns is not the way to go. And Samoa Joe has come out of nowhere and has struck gold. He is just so good, and he's so believable. So that even if it is Joe wins at SummerSlam, I mean, I would be very ecstatic about that. It will be my fear is that this is going to be a Brock Lesnar squash. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't want 13 German suplexes and then an F5 and then we go home. No, that would be sad. And if that ends up, if they do that, after everything that Samoa Joe has shown and all this potential and the fact that he has gotten this feud over and all of this, and if they still do that, then Vince can go suck a dick. No offense to my great homosexual friends out there, but he can just take something and shove it in his butt, because I'm done.
No offense to hookers either. I mean,
true.
Men and women suck dicks.
True. Yes. No offense to anyone who enjoys penis in your mouth. None at all. But
I don't think this is leading to any way Samoa Joe getting squashed. I have not even thought of that as a possible outcome.
Well, good. You're more optimistic than I am.
I can see him lose it. I can see him taking that F5 and eating a pin after. But no, Samoa Joe, as far as respect in the wrestling business, respect from even Paul Heyman, there's no way they would allow that to be booked that way.
So it makes you wonder if what is the behind the scene politics in this? Because part of me thinks that Brock Lesnar just doesn't care. He's just like, paycheck, whatever. Paul Heyman, I think, has a lot of just like you said. Paul Heyman has a ton of respect for Samoa Joe. We know Triple H has a ton of respect for Samoa Joe.
Jim Ross said in his interview before WrestleMania 31 that all he saw Samoa Joe main eventing WrestleMania or having a significant match at WrestleMania one day. That's how much he thinks of Samoa Joe.
So with all of that said, if Vince, for whatever reason, just was like, no, we're going to do this, would that be a breaking point? Would that be enough for a bunch of people behind the scenes to finally stop being yes men and say, Vince, you're freaking crazy?
No.
This guy is gold?
No.
Of course not.
There's no breaking point. Breaking point is going to be Vince McMahon dying.
I don't wish anyone death, but And
then Vince McMahon's in better shape than both of us.
Oh yeah, he's better shape than that. Was it?
Something I guarantee you, he could outrun, outlift, and out energy both, and probably out drink both of us.
Oh, I mean, he is Irish.
Yeah,
so there's that.
He's a genetic freak as far as his ability to stay in shape. So I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to die anytime soon. I may be wrong. Weirder things have happened. To me, it's one of those things. You have to work inside with Vince McMahon, and I just think they've built this up so much. There's no way they're just going to let it be squashed. If you think about it, he's only really squashed one person, and that was that John Cena match.
That was glorious.
Ever since then, he's had a lot of suplexes, but generally the other person gets a lot of offense in before they lose.
Yeah. All right, well, that Great Balls of Fire. Anything else on the Raw end of things? Well, do we want to talk about the release right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the release of a lot of people's favorite cruiserweights, Austin Aries. He was released on Friday. Apparently, he asked for and was granted his release. What do you think about it?
Here's my guess. I think he saw that the writing on the wall that he is going nowhere other than the cruiserweight division. He sees himself as something more than just that and wanted out. The
thing is he wasn't even a top cruiserweight.
No. I mean, he's probably looking at this. He's like, you know what? He's probably thinking to himself, I headlined shows with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and Bobby Roode for a decade, and I'm relegated to this division that no one cares anything about. And I'm watching my friends, my colleagues, headline big shows, have big things going on. What the hell? And maybe he went to them and said, hey, I'd really like out of the cruiserweight division. Who knows? But I think it boiled down to, hey, I know you guys aren't going to do anything else with me. Can I go?
Yeah, and I truly believe if they gave him the title and were building the cruiserweight division on his back, he would have no problem with that. But like I said, he lost 3 straight times on pay-per-view to Neville, and they weren't even considered significant matches. One was even on a pre-show. So there you go.
Yeah, it sucks. My wonder is, how was it, like, were they okay with saying, oh, okay, and will he be able to come back later as a commentator? Because he was I don't know if vision's the right word, but he was exemplary on commentary. He was so good. And I just kept thinking to myself in my head, I was like, this guy's got, he's there for life, man. Because as soon as his wrestling career's over, he can do commentary.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, he has an ego. I mean, his license plate is TGMTEL.
What's
the
that?
Greatest man that ever lives.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's not a gimmick. It's what he thinks of himself. So him being lower on the card and him being perfectly healthy and not being used was unacceptable to him. I love Austin Aries, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have bought him beating anyone like Roman Reigns or Samoa Joe. I never bought it in the first place. When they put the title on him in TNA at the time, I was like, yeah, that's going to kill your title.
It didn't hurt the Ring of Honor title when he was Ring of Honor champion.
I didn't even watch Ring of Honor or know who he was.
Fair enough. So where does he wind up?
I don't know. I just think I probably didn't want to take the pay cut. If he could have just went to NXT, and if they would have kept him on NXT as a top guy and just been an NXT guy, I think, to me, I would have been fine with that ceiling because NXT is its own brand. But now I think he's burned some bridges with ROH. I didn't even know that. So maybe he goes back to Ring of Honor. Maybe he goes back to Japan. He has a book out. Maybe he just does that. I mean, Austin Aries is a very talented person. He can go a lot of ways with it. I'd like to hopefully, shout out to Jerry if you're listening to the show. Oaklamania is exactly 91 days after his release with the WWE. I'm just saying. You were on our show. It's 91 days. He got released on July 7th. What kind of magic is that? It's on October 7th, Oaklamania. He gets released on July 7th. 90 days, baby.
I'd like to see Matt Cross at Oaklamania myself.
Throw our names out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you heard an interview with him and you became a fan?
Yes. Well, I've been a fan of Matt Cross ever since I started watching Lucha Underground a couple years ago. And at first I was like, who the fuck is the Son of Havoc dude? Because he was on the first match in Lucha Underground, the first one that was on TV. And then when he paired up with Ivelisse and Helico, and they just had these insane matches, I was just like, okay, this is awesome. And then he was on Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling this last week. And it was cool. I mean, I've been following him on social media for a while, and so I always knew he had this punk rock background and all that stuff. But then after listening to him, I was like, yep, this guy is one of my new favorite wrestlers, probably my new favorite independent wrestler, my favorite, my favorite indie wrestler out there right now is Matt Cross. And plus, he's awesome. I mean, the dude is freaking incredible. It looks like $1 million. So yeah, I've actually haven't heard anything. I've reached out to him to see if he would want to come on, and I was hoping to maybe during the week at some point do a Skype interview with him that I would put on both this show and on Oklahoma Lefty podcast, because I wanted to talk music and wrestling. He hasn't responded to my email, so I'm sure he's a busy guy. But hopefully something will come of that. But yeah, I'm a big Matt Cross fan. And if Lucha Underground actually had any kind of potential future, because I'm not sure that they're going to have another season, but Austin Aries would be a fascinating fit on Lucha Underground. I think he can do some cool stuff on there.
Hey, you know what? He's the greatest man that ever lived. I have no problem with him. I mean, I love the guy. Like I said, his decision was the best for him, and I am all about him making the decision, because to me, if you're not happy at work, to me, don't do that. Don't do wrestling. Wrestling's not a 9-to-5 job. Wrestling is not working IT. Wrestling is a dream job. So if it's not what you want it to be, get out of it.
Agreed. So that is the Monday Night Raw stuff. And let's go ahead and talk about the SmackDown. John Cena, he came back, rah, USA. I gotta say one thing. The Cena pop was really good. It was your standard Cena promo, blah, 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 work hard, yada, yada.
Promo.
Yeah, it was. He is a dick. This man is a flaming dick. I really hate, though, I've got to say, I really, really hate USA chants. It is some of the most xenophobic crap. It's cheap heat. It is so... I hate them. Hate them. But yeah, the whole John Cena Rusev thing, fucking boring. I don't need to see it. I saw it once. He squashed Rusev once. He damn near ruined Rusev's career. So, hey, we're going to do it again. Yay. Fuck that guy.
I think he's only coming back to put Rusev over, so I'm okay with it.
He better, man. He better. And whole... Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, like I said, John Cena's John Cena, and he has decided he's going to do wrestling the way he does wrestling. And you know what? I'm never going to be a fan of it. I mean, he's going to be there, and I'm never going to be a fan of it. To him, I tip his hat off. He does what the WWE asks him to. Yeah, over the last few years, I wouldn't say I've become a fan of John Cena, but I can say that I have grown not to hate him or loathe his existence, because he's put people over. He's taken the lesser title belt. He's the reason Kevin Owens debuted. He's done a lot for some of your favorite wrestlers, and then he's put on some great matches in the last few years. So it's not that I'm really turning around on John Cena. It's more of I kind of can respect his hustle now.
Here's my thing with John Cena. I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I've never thought that, because, well, once I actually started seeing him in matches with people who are really good, people like Cesaro and AJ and Kevin Owens, he can put on a damn good match if he's got someone in there with him. We've talked about this before. His character work, especially now, he's more arrogant than ever. I'm not part-time, I'm lifetime or whatever fucking...
I'm not part-time, I'm all-time.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, sir. Sure. Well, yeah, we'll see you in 6 months. That's how is that not part-time? But this,
it sounded really amazing in the back when he was telling people what he was going to say. It sounded amazing, and they were like, "That's great." But I'm like, you don't know the tremendous dick that makes you come off of. But as I was saying last year, going along with this, you're kind of trying to find out what a face is today. In the internet way, you're trying to find out what a face is. They don't want people to be all the way nice, and they don't want them to be all the way bad. So you can see a change with Roman Reigns and John Cena. They're kind of showing that they're dick.
Yeah. I mean, it's here. So here's something I wanted to ponder, because this was a question that John Draper brought up on this week's edition of Wrestling Soup when they were talking about this segment. He basically said that essentially John Cena's character is more or less blackface. That he has come out, he has appropriated African American culture, and even though from all accounts, he likes rap music, but when you hear him not being in character, he does not talk like he is a thug rapper, and that he is just essentially playing, not trying to sound awfully racist or offensive, but he's playing a black guy. What are your thoughts on that?
This is an argument 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, when he's rocking the lock or whatever. But as of now, he's just a white guy that likes to wear jorts. There's nothing black about his character now.
Fair enough.
There was. But now, shit.
Yeah, he dresses more like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't appropriate anything. He doesn't rap. He doesn't really speak a lot of slang. He yells. To me, if you think he's playing a black guy now, you might be more racist than you think you are. Because I don't know any black people that act like him. Even the corniest white black people don't act like him.
Okay, very good. I thought it was an interesting question.
It is an interesting question, but to me, like if I was talking to the guy, it would make me more question him. I'm like, when's the last time you really watched wrestling? Because nothing about his gimmick I guess he comes out to rap music that he did himself 15 years ago.
And that he actually can kind of rap, so.
Oh, no, you know what, the dude, I deny John Cena's talent on any type of mic. Don't get me wrong. John Cena is John Cena. But on the other side, when you hear him out of character, most of the time it is as a representative of the WWE, right?
Right.
How else is he supposed to talk?
Yeah, you're right. I just, for some reason, something about this whole segment just made me angry, and I think a lot of it just ends up the whole xenophobic stance of I'm Mr. Super America, and and here's this evil bad foreigner, and I'm gonna beat you up. It's like, fuck's sake.
Just saying. Come on, really. Your problem with them is probably your problem with America.
Yeah, possibly.
It still gets over.
It just seems so ignorant and base level. So yeah, maybe yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think fair enough. You've turned me around. I'm less irritated with Cena than I am just America in general, that they would still.
Yeah, because I'm like, I would never admit that. And like when they chant USA and Jinder Mahal, Jinder Mahal has lived in America a majority of his life, right?
Yeah, and he's freaking Canadian, for fuck's sake.
He's from Canada, but he's at this point, at his age, he's lived in America longer than he's lived in Canada. Yeah. So it's like, what are you chanting USA? He freaking loves the USA. He loves them USA dollars that he spends every day. I don't get it. Like I said, I don't get a lot of the stuff, how people can chant USA and stuff like that, because at those times it makes me be like, okay, the internet's not ruining wrestling. Because if you did that, you would know most of these people are more American than they are whatever, like Rusev. He's from Russia, but he kind of got kicked to America or Bulgaria. Like, he got kicked to America when he's been in America longer than he ever lived in Russia.
Oh, he is actually Russian? I thought he was just American.
He's from Bulgaria. He's a Bulgarian.
So legit, he is legitimately from Bulgaria.
Yes, but he's lived in America at this point longer than he's lived in Bulgaria, so it's like he still has an accent. But it's just like, the fact is, it's like they're not pulling the wool over your eyes. This is not a man, these aren't people that really hate America. So it's kind of funny that people still get caught up in it.
Okay, there you go.
But I do like chanting USA for Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I do. Let me say that. I love that. Yeah, it takes me back to my childhood when Hacksaw's at IWR and he's wrestling Al Farrat. And yeah, I chant USA. I chant it all day because it's just part of the show to me.
Yeah, I can see that. And to me, that's a little different because that's part of his gimmick. It always has been. It's, yeah.
Who's Americana or represents Americana more than John Cena?
True. And I will say that video he put out last 4th of July about what it means to be an American, I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I'm watching it. I'm like,
I don't think I ever watched it.
oh, it's incredible. It's awesome. And if that's what he really thinks, then my opinion of him goes up.
John Cena thinks whatever the WWE tells him to think.
True.
I'm telling you, he is the Manchurian wrestler.
Yep. So yeah, what else we had? We had AJ Styles and Chad Gable had a fantastic match.
They did. I truly believe this is probably the best match I saw on SmackDown this year. I did not know that Chad Gable could work like that. I knew he was a good wrestler from his tag team, but seeing him in singles match, I was very, very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and AJ Styles, I mean, I don't know if you saw the tweet from around the ring that I put. I put Chad Gable versus AJ Styles next. Chad Gable, be prepared to have your best match in the WWE, and I was not wrong.
No, yeah, you're not. It's that was great, and it was a real coming out party, I think, for Gable, because Gable is awesome. Hell yeah,
he's always ready, willing, and Gable.
He is. One thing and this played into the main event, is I loved when AJ came out for that main event that he was still selling from the match with Gable.
Yeah, he's a true professional in all sense of the word.
Yeah. Before we get on to one of the best things in the show, I just got to ask, what the hell are they doing with Sami Zayn? That where he knocked something over when he's stretching. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I was like, what? Do you hate this man this much?
No, but see, you know what? And this is one of those times I'm going to agree with you and disagree with. I agree with you because that was a stupid reason to end up in a fight with, what's eventually going to be a feud with the Kanellis family. But the thing is, last month when they did the whole I think it was a couple months ago, where he challenged the thought that he was an underdog, I thought that was kind of cool too. Like I said, with Sami Zayn, the thing I hated most about him is that his character wasn't defined or well-rounded, and it's becoming more of that.
Yeah, but the roundedness of his characters are making him to be a complete total dork.
Maybe that's who he is in real life.
Maybe. I don't know. That segment was bad.
Yeah, it was a dumbass segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, a dumbass segment.
And then I think the highlight of the entire thing, the surprisingly entertaining rap battle.
You know what? When it comes to it, in my thought process, when I was thinking about the rap battle of the week, I was like, man, it could be good if they just let them go at each other, right? But I was like, oh, they're not going to let them bring up the Xavier Woods thing. They're not going to let them do this. They're not going to let them do this. Every thought I had about this was wrong.
Yeah.
They went at each other. I mean, again, anybody that watches Up, Up, Down, Down on YouTube, the Usos and the New Day are tight. They're really, really tight. And it was the kind of things that only could be said by someone that you like. Because if you don't like that person, after this battle is over, we're actually going to fight.
Yes. Yeah, it was just...
Yeah, it's like, yeah, let's keep it PG-13, and let's not get it rated R like your boy Xavier Woods. I forgot how the exact way it went. It was just hilarious.
Yeah, and then the look on Xavier's face was fantastic. And
he said, like, mouth, oh, we're going there? Oh, we're going there?
Yeah, that was awesome. And then Kofi's line about Roman, about them like carrying Roman's bags or something. Oh my God, that was great. And I think they also made fun of Great Balls of Fire at some point.
They hit.
It was so good.
They kept hitting. Yeah, the Big E's man boobs. Even though, dude, I would kill for a chest that looked like Big E's. Don't get me wrong. But Kofi, it was very good, and they were very good at repeating themselves after a loud pop to show how the lines go together. I thought it was just well executed. Wale did a good job. That's what happens when you have people on that actually watch the product.
Exactly, and he knew enough to take part and then get out of the way.
Yep, and he's like, "You stepped on my shoes." I love that part.
I lost my shoe.
He's like, y'all gonna get me banned again, because if you didn't know, he got in a fight with a fan and was banned from WWE for a long time.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what he was referencing to. Like, you gonna get me banned again?
That was great. The whole thing was really enjoyable. So that was the part. Now, speaking of SmackDown, there was a house show at Madison Square Gardens the other night.
And this is not a spoiler.
No.
Because this is not a televised product.
Right.
So this is a non-televised show. I just want to throw that out there and reiterate that when we say this.
Yeah. And this was a Raw show that brought in some very non-Raw talent. And a number of people made their Madison Square Garden debut, including Cedric Alexander.
And my girl, Nia Jax.
Yes.
Sexy ass.
And Bayley made her MSG debut. But in a just shocking, surprising turn of events, AJ Styles wins the United States Championship at a freaking house show. Now, we're going to get highlights of that come Tuesday.
Yes. And once again proving you don't want none. You don't want none.
No.
No.
And I just, that's kind of cool for as meaningless as house shows are. It's they were like, well, maybe not so much meaningless anymore. I mean, this is not going to become a regular thing, nor should it.
I think it should be a regular thing, personally. The real reason I don't go to house shows is because you 100% know nothing's going to happen. If the house shows, they start you're not going full immersion, but start working in storylines from the house shows, doing the regular TV shows, it gives a reason for people to go to house shows.
Yeah, that is true.
Because I know, personally, if you go to, let's say they do a house show Friday and Sunday, 3 different house shows, you're pretty much going to get the same product all 3 nights.
True.
That doesn't lend itself to following the WWE around.
Good point. Yeah,
because to me, I'm one of those people. Like, if they're doing Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, like, if I could get the days off, I would do Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. But I've heard too many times, and actually saw that in an NXT show, where you get the same thing 3 nights in a row. Who wants that?
Yeah, nobody. And if we think about the last time, NXT had 2 title changes at house. One was a legit, this is just a house show, where Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor.
In Lowell, Massachusetts.
In Lowell, Massachusetts. And then one was a house show that was more or less taped for TV, and that was when Shinsuke Nakamura beat Samoa Joe in, I think it was Tokyo or somewhere in Japan. But that thing was really filmed to be used on TV. But this Madison Square Garden was a full-blown house show. Granted, they film all their house shows. But yeah, it's that's pretty shocking. That's pretty.
It not only is it shocking, it lends itself to people going back to house shows, and that's definitely a big part is people going back to house shows, and the fact that Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, they're on SmackDown. You got a lot of talent on SmackDown. It actually puts over the importance of the United States title. Because as much as I love Jinder Mahal, and I do, everybody knows I rally behind Jinder. And you start thinking about it on a show that has AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura. Jinder Mahal's the world champion. Just doesn't seem right when you put it like that.
Exactly.
So it's like I'm all about Jinder being champion because it's different, but it's like so you're gonna have to kind of build up the U.S. You can't wait until I get Nakamura, AJ Styles, and hopefully this can lead to it.
Yeah, agreed. It's just down. Anything else you want to add on main roster WWE stuff before we move on?
Let's see. Oh yeah, what did you think of Ellsworth getting suspended?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that. It was weird. I mean,
yeah.
Are they? Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like, did he need a vacation? Because he's tweeting a lot, saying justice for Ellsworth. I'm just hoping he, shows up to SmackDown or
maybe they start doing angles where he buys a ticket,
or he buys a ticket, or shows up outside of SmackDown, something like that.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know where they're going, unless they're trying to, show that Carmella can do stuff without him. But
I mean, yeah, her heel thing. But the thing about her being a heel is that she doesn't do anything without him, which is to me is the best part. Yeah, I don't know. I love their. I love him, and I love him. And now Daniel Bryan's kind of changing dynamic.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Well, all right. So on to
Pretty
NXT.
Much. On to NXT.
Right.
There
was only two matches on NXT. A lot of story on NXT. But there was only 2 matches.
There was. Cassius Ohno and Hideo Itami taking on Sanity, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane. And the whole point of this match was basically to further the upcoming Itami turn on Ohno. But it was fine. It was a good little match.
Yeah. Getting Itami and Ohno, and hopefully in Brooklyn, that would be a very good match. I still want Ohno to get in better shape. I mean, I guess, I do live in the world of Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, but I saw Cassius Ohno. It doesn't even feel like that long ago as a part of the Kings of Wrestling, and he was in great shape with Cesaro. And it's like now he's a fat guy.
Yeah, he needs, and I think he has lost weight. I'm sure that he is working out harder than he used to work out to get in WWE shape. But I also think he's never going to the main roster. And that's actually something I do want to talk about. And we can do that after we talk NXT. I watched the Kevin Owens documentary from his new DVD. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I did really enjoy the Billy Kay Peyton Royce backstage interview before it devolved into La Sombra, whatever the hell his name is, Andrade Cien Almas screaming at some chick.
That's Thea Trinidad, a.k.a. Austin Aries' girlfriend.
I wonder. See, now you're, how long is she going to end up sticking around?
She's going to probably stick around a very, very long time.
Is she good?
So yeah, he's like 16 years older than her. So she hasn't had the career had the career to, say, hey, I'm just going to leave. I think she's going to stick around, and I don't think it bothers Austin Aries at all.
Good. Very good. And then you had the main event, Roderick Strong challenging Bobby Roode for the NXT Championship. They made this feel like such a big deal, which was great. Roderick Strong's family was there at ringside. I thought that was super cool.
They sold you on Roderick Strong winning the belt.
They did. You know what else was really cool about this match is for the first time, possibly ever, that crowd really treated Bobby like a heel.
Yeah.
And Roddy was so over. They wanted him to win so badly. NXT has done a fantastic job of taking Roderick Strong, who showed up, to a response of, oh, hey, it's Roderick Strong. I kind of like him. He was cool in Ring of Honor. And literally that was the reaction, and to turning him into somebody that people really can get behind through a series of vignettes. That's all they had to do. They followed him around with a camera, told his story. Boom, people like him. And
they made a very sympathetic babyface. They did a good job.
They did. And my first real interaction, when I first started watching Ring of Honor, Roderick Strong was in the decade with Jimmy Jacobs and BJ Whitmer. So that was, and Hangman Page, Adam Page was kind of their little bitch. And so that was my first intro to Roddy. And then he left the group, turned babyface, and all that good stuff. But this was really good. This match was really good. I liked I hated that I kind of knew there was a fake out in it. I got spoiled before I watched it, so that sucked. But yeah, Roddy thinking he won, and then the ref, the guy who's the ref that match, I don't know his name. He's probably my favorite WWE ref. He is so good. He's so overdramatic, but in a good way. And the way he kept waving it off. No, Roddy, no. I loved it. This was awesome, I thought. And, finally, for once, people are treating Bobby Roode like the grade A jackass he is.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Definitely the heel that you need in NXT, because when somebody finally beats him, it's going to be a huge deal.
Exactly. And I don't know if Roderick Strong is the guy. I do think at some point Roddy should be the NXT champion. I'm not sure if he should be the one to beat Bobby Roode. I just don't know yet, because I think Bobby needs to hold on to that title for a while longer. So I don't know who is the one that, and actually I could see something where maybe they build to a big match at Takeover Brooklyn, and Roderick barely loses, and he's just sitting in the ring heartbroken, and maybe the crowd is going wild, and that's when Adam Cole comes in and just beats the piss out of him and leaves him laying and stands in the ring, and it goes off the air with him saying Adam Cole, baby, and Brooklyn losing their mind. That would transition into a feud with Adam Cole, and then you could have Bobby Roode move on to someone else, probably Drew McIntyre, and work toward that, because I think eventually Drew's going to be the one to beat him.
Yeah, and Drew got jumped by Sanity, like they did an exclusive WWE behind the scenes, and Sanity did Drew. Man, he just looks like $1 million.
He does.
It's like if you, and this is a top 5 that I would like to do sooner or later, a top 5 people you would build a company around.
I'm going to have to write that down.
Huh?
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, because Drew McIntyre would definitely be somewhere in there. He just looks like $1 million.
Yeah, I agree. Did I see? My memory sucks anymore, so I don't even know if I saw that. But I like that. And especially you could probably have something pretty interesting. Him and Killian Dane, or him and Eric Young could have something good.
He could work programs with all 3 of them before finally getting to Bobby Roode.
Yeah, I think that would be a great way to work it up. I like that idea. But it's so funny. I've gotten in this last week or so, I've just realized that other than NXT and a handful of people, WWE kind of makes me angry. And and I love NXT. I thoroughly enjoy it. But it is a breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, this company can do something right. They can produce a product that is consistently really good. So yeah, I enjoy NXT very much, and I thought this was a great event. So it'll be interesting to see when they have another match, because they're going to have another match. I say Brooklyn, make it happen there.
Brooklyn, I would be okay with that.
Yeah. All right. So did you want to talk GFW for the week?
No.
Okay.
The ban on GFW starts today.
All right. Well,
until they give me something to talk about, I will not talk about it.
Okay. Well, I did watch Ring of Honor this week, and my hope is I'm actually going to start, after listening to that interview with Matt Cross, I think I'm going to start watching Lucha Underground again. I just couldn't find this week's episode to watch, so I'm going to have to go back and probably watch a few. I'll try to watch next week's episode before next Sunday, so we can talk about then. My brain just stopped working, but I did watch Ring of Honor. Colt Cabana was on commentary with Ian, whatever the hell his last name is. They really need to keep Colt Cabana around for commentary, because he and this Ian guy have a good chemistry, and he is 1,000 times better than BJ Whitmer. Because BJ Whitmer opens his mouth, and all you want to do is tell him to shut the hell up. I mean, he is so good at being a heel. He's so good at making you just want to kick him in the nuts. This show, we had Cody Rhodes standing in ring gloating about how he won the title. Christopher Daniels came out. They had a brawl in suits. It was there. It was kind of funny. Sometimes on these shows, some Ring of Honor is one of my favorite promotions. I really do enjoy it. But sometimes on some of these shows, you can tell that everyone's just not trying their hardest, and they're kind of pulling back. And I don't blame them. Believe me, you physically can't go balls to the wall, screw yourself up at every night, every match, everywhere. But this brawl was just kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure they have a great chemistry together, Daniels and Cody. We didn't even talk about the Cody Okada match, partly probably because I didn't watch it. After I learned last week during this show what happened, I was like, oh, okay.
No, honestly wasn't that great a match. That's why I didn't talk about it. It just, Okada's good, but, I mean, it didn't make me have any revelations about Cody. It was an average match to me.
Yeah, a lot of people said it was Cody's best singles match he's ever had. And in fact, I know on Solid Monster's show, he said it was Cody's best singles match, but his best match ever was when he and Goldust beat the Shield for the tag team titles. So, yeah, I just never got around to watching it. I had other stuff going on, and I really wanted to see how the tournament ended up. So yeah. Jay Briscoe had a match with this new dude, Josh Woods. I guess he was... was he the top prospect tournament winner this year? I don't know. He's a real tall dude. His tights are god-awful, though. I swear to God, it looked like he was wearing, those boxer briefs, those boxers that are just skin tight. It looked like he was wearing those. And this dude has some ugly-ass tattoos. I mean, really ugly tattoos. And the story of this match is Jay Lethal was wrestling like a heel, basically, and he won with a clothesline. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a great match, but the Lethal, or the Briscoes and Bully Ray lost the 6-man tags, and Jay's kind of doing this whole pissed off thing right now. I don't know if he's going to go full-blown heel. I don't know. Do you think the Briscoes could have ever worked in WWE?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe in NXT, but I think Ring of Honor is just where they belong. And some stuff in New Japan. I think they work in New Japan really well too. But just so much of especially what Jay does in his matches, and the fact that in real life he's apparently a bit of a homophobe and possibly a racist, wouldn't help things out because he says stupid shit online. But did you watch Ring of Honor this week by any chance?
Did not.
You did not? Okay.
Just like it doesn't fit. It fit anywhere in my schedule.
Fair enough.
I don't know. This week it was closer to 15 to 17 hours of wrestling.
Oh yeah, that's too much, man. That is.
Yeah, no, you had the G1 shows. That was 8. Then I had Slammiversary. There's 11. So, no, I'm probably closer to 20.
Yeah.
Raw 15, SmackDown 16, NXT 17. Then I watched GFW. So, yeah, I was at 20 hours of professional wrestling.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. So, the other things that happened in the show, apparently Will Ferrara turned on Cheeseburger, so they're feuding. The Tempura Boys and this team Coast to Coast, who I didn't really know anything about, were going to have a tag team match. The Young Bucks came out and said, hey, let's turn this into a triple threat tornado-style match, and we'll even put the titles on the line. And this was a lot of fun. I will say there were some pretty cool dives. Everyone did a really good job. The Bucks obviously won. But this was fun. At some point, I think they also said it's under Lucha Rules, but okay, how that was decided in this, thrown together last minute match, who knows? But here, I do have a question for you. What is the difference between the Indie Taker and the Meltzer Driver?
So, who does the Indie Taker?
They're both Young Bucks moves.
Okay. Well, I know the Meltzer Driver is with the front flip leading into a spike tombstone. That's the Meltzer Driver.
And I'm pretty sure that the Indie Taker ends in a spike tombstone.
Huh. I don't know.
So if anyone out there is listening to this show and can explain to us the difference between the Indie Taker and the Meltzer Driver, send us a tweet at AroundTheRingOK, or you can send us an email, AroundTheRingOK@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on the Facebook, Facebook.com/AroundTheRingOK. So had to get those website plugs in there. And then the final match, which was really fun, it was a four-corner survival. This was the Lucha Rules. It was a four-corners survival Lucha Rules #1 contender for the TV title match. Say that 5 times real fast. Mark Briscoe, Chris Sabin, Kenny King, and the Beer City Bruiser. And Kenny King got in. And he was behaving completely like a babyface. I think they are really trying to capitalize on his appearance on The Bachelorette, because he came off like $1 million on that show. Yes, I've watched that show. Shut up. So yeah, this was really good. This was a fun match. I mean, you've got those 4 guys in there, and you're like, how can you go wrong? It was kind of sloppy, but it was fun. So
can't make fun of you for watching that match, because I watch wrestling.
There you
That's
go.
what people. I'm like, I watch wrestling.
So so that was kind of that. Now I wanted to talk about Glow on Netflix. I know you mentioned last week that you'd watched it. I finally got to watch all of it. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thought this was really, really well done. And I also thought it did a really good job at kind of explaining wrestling to people who might not watch wrestling. What'd you think?
Oh, yeah. That was the example. I was like, you don't have to like wrestling to watch this show, because it kind of explains everything you need to know about wrestling and what they're trying to do on the show. And wrestling is just a storytelling aspect of these people's lives.
Exactly. Yeah, and I love, because there's specifically a scene, and I don't know the actress's name, but she is kind of the second or third person on the show. She is because Allison Brie is the main character, and then Mark Maron is the guy who's the director, and then there's this girl who's blonde.
Face.
Do it.
She's the face.
Yes, she's the baby face. Her
name is Betty Gilpin.
Okay, Betty Gilpin. Yes, her wrestling persona ends up being Liberty Bell, and she goes to watch a wrestling match, and so she is taken. A couple people take her, and one of the characters is a Legacy, who her father was a wrestler, and her brothers were played by Tyrus and Carlito. And there's, in fact, a scene where Carlito's on a porch coming out of the house carrying an apple, which is a nice little tip of the hat to his character in WWE. But they go watch they go see a show, and so in this, I'm pretty sure it's Christopher Daniels and Kazarian are having a match, and it's Alex Riley. And who did he face?
Don't remember.
It was Alex Riley and somebody else. And so as during this, the character, the legacy character, and whose name I can't remember to save my life, she's explaining to Liberty Bell, who is a former soap opera actress, what's going on, the motivations, the storyline of this, and then she clicks. She's like, "Oh my God, this is a soap opera. I understand this. I can do this." And she gets super excited. She gets really into it. Afterwards, she goes and finds, they go backstage. She meets Alex Riley. They end up getting busy. His name was like Steel Horse or something, which was hysterical. The only thing kind of gripe I had with this is, in the matches that you had Frankie Kazarian do the greatest moonsault ever, and even in the Alex Riley match, there were a couple spots, and I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, I watched wrestling in 1985. I don't remember seeing spots like this, and they even mentioned power bombs and stuff, and that took me out a little bit. What about you?
I just said no because I knew who the coordinator of the wrestling stunts was. It was Chavo Guerrero. So he's going to just have everyone on the show is a friend of Chavo Guerrero, and he just had them do what they wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just like, hey, so maybe, you get your best spots off. So maybe someone that's watching the show goes and looks up who Christopher Daniels or who, Kazarian is. I get it.
But I thought overall this was a very well acted, very well done show. The writing was really good. I enjoyed it. I was sad when the 10 episodes were over. I really hope we get to season 2. And I've never watched the documentary about the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
I watched it right after.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, and actually, it got me pretty misty-eyed. Because they drew a lot and they didn't get paid a lot.
That's messed up. Since you've watched the documentary, how close to reality did the TV show?
No, not at all. They just made new characters.
Okay. I wasn't sure how much of that was a dramatization of reality and how much was they just took the concept and ran with it.
I was going to say, they took the concept and ran with it. I'm guessing a few of those stories were real stories. But, when you looked at the people, they were completely different.
Okay.
And it was fun. Ivory was in the original Glow as Tina Ferrari, and that was kind of cool.
Oh, nice. So that was Glow. I really enjoyed it. And also, before because we've got an interview with Jerry the Boss Bostic we're about to play for you guys from Imperial Wrestling Revolution that we did this morning. And we're going to play that here in just a minute. But before we do, did you watch the Kevin Owens documentary?
I did. I watched it. It came in Thursday, and I watched it Friday.
What'd you think?
I thought it was amazing. And it honestly, it's one point I knew. I've always known he was great with angles. I always knew he was a great wrestler. I've always said, if there's a person in the WWE that I love meeting but not want to spend any one-on-one time with, it's Kevin Owens. I said everything about him comes off as that he's an actual dick. And from that show, as much as people liked him, that was one clear thing.
Yeah, he definitely comes off as a dick. I really enjoyed it. And that documentary made me kind of dislike WWE even more. It made me really appreciate independent wrestling. But the other thing that was interesting, because Kevin Owens was he was Mr. Wrestling on the Indies, and he was kind of seen as this Mr. Independent Wrestling. And I'd never realized how much he had just always been a WWE fan, and it's not like he was this fan of wrestling. He grew up on WWE. Hell, he learned how to speak English because of Jim Ross. So that I thought that was interesting, but it was really well done. Now, granted, sure, WWE makes a really well done documentary. We know this, but
yeah, the whole it was funny because the whole aspect of Johnny Gargano being on the show too, and he's kind of the Mr. Wrestling guy. Now it's kind of cool. It was almost not necessarily a passing of the torch, but hey, there's always this indie darling.
Yes, yeah, and
yep, that guy.
Yeah, and I love how Seth Rollins was just so brutally honest. He was like, man, this guy's one of my best friends. Didn't think he'd ever get here.
Yeah, a lot of people said that. He was like, no, I never thought he'd get here. Do in my mind, do a squat, do a push-up, whatever. He didn't, he never changed his body. And to me, in that case, with WWE Individual Medium, if let's say I met Kevin Owens when he was 45, Kevin Steen when he was 45, he never made it to the WWE. I'm like, dude, it's on you. You know what they want, give it to them.
Yeah, there you go. But
you know what they want. I mean, to me, it's either you wanted enough to do it or not. He decided he was going to make it his way. I'm glad he made it. I don't say, me personally, I don't ever say, well, he made it the right way or anything like that. To me, it's like he made it. John Cena made it. To me, the people that go out and get the WWE body, to me, just makes sense. I mean, you know what you do? If you know a person that requires a degree, you go out and get a degree. You don't say you're going to hire me even though I don't have a degree. You go out and get a degree. Kevin Owens is like, hey, you're going to hire me whether whether I look like a WWE guy or not. And they did, and for him, that was fortunate. But for a lot of people, that don't work out that way. Good
point. Yeah, very good point.
Yeah, but I love it. I love him. I love how much he loves his family. He just seems like he would be that guy I couldn't hang around a lot in person. I'd like him, but no, you're just too much of a dick.
And I loved that they showed that promo that had him cut when he was trying out, and I love that ended up being the first storyline he had when he came in there, the Sami Zayn thing. And it makes you realize that, and I think Sami kind of realized that in this whole, I'm going to share this moment with my best friend, not realizing that, it might make my friend feel like crap. And there's probably a lot of realism to that. I'm sure they're still friends. But yeah, that was really cool. I thought it was really well done. Made me like Kevin Owens even more. But yeah, the guy's a dick. I'm going to hang out with him.
Yeah. Overwhelming thought process on that. I'm like, I love Kevin Owens, but I don't know. He's about Kevin Owens. He's about Kevin Steen. He's about himself.
Yep, that he is. All right, well, at this point, we're going to go ahead and do our interview with Jerry the Boss Bostic of Imperial Wrestling Revolution. You can find them online at imperialwrestlingrevolution.com. They're on the Twitters and the Facebooks. I forget what the handle is. Jerry will tell us, but if you go to...
He gives all that information.
He does. He does, but the easy way, imperialwrestlingrevolution.com, you'll find them there. And so we're going to play that, and it's a really good interview. They've got a show coming on the 15th in Paul's Valley that you guys should really go check out. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry the Boss Bostic. Okay, we'd like to welcome Jerry the Boss Bostic here to Around the Ring. Jerry is the owner and champion of Oklahoma's own Imperial Wrestling Revolution. Thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. But I am not the champion anymore. Let me clarify. I lost that, and I went on sabbatical for like the 17th time.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm learning things. So, because when I last saw you guys, which was a few months ago, you guys performed at the Rose Rock Music Festival in Noble, which was a huge success. I can't tell you how much positive feedback I got from that, by the way. And you were the champ then. So when did you drop the title?
Man, I dropped the title. Let's see, it was in May in Forney, Texas. Yes, to Dane Griffin, who is the current champion.
Okay, nice.
Almost died in that match. It was kind of crazy. We had it was like Falls Count Anywhere, more or less, and he threw me in a trash can, and I swear the trash can looked bigger than what it was. And whenever he threw me in the trash can, it was so small, like my neck was bent up in my chest, so I couldn't breathe through my chest, and I had to wiggle myself out of the trash can and at least tip it over. It was crazy, man, but it was a really good match. That was a tour we did with the Von Erichs, so it was a really, really cool thing that we did with them. So,
nice. How often do you guys work with the Von Erichs?
I mean, we're more or less really their home promotion. I think they've worked with us more than they've worked with anyone. That particular time, geez, it was let's see, 3, 6, I think 6 shows in a month or something. It was wild, man. It was a lot.
Okay, cool. So, well, before we get into IWR, let's talk a little bit about you. How did you first get into professional wrestling?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a stupid story, really. I mean, it was me and one of my friends. He used to be in IWR. One of my best friends, D-Money, Derek Prentice. I guess it was 11 years ago. Before the internet was the monster that it is now. I mean, it was still something, but it's nothing like it is now. And we used to work together at Hastings Entertainment, and I was like, man, we should be wrestlers. He's like, how are we going to do that? I was like, I don't know. We'll look it up on the internet. And we did, and then I found Al Farad, actually, out of Oklahoma City at the time, who trained us, and then we were off and running. I mean, it was weird. It's kind of like I own my own company since day one. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing for a while. I mean, sometimes I still don't. It's funny because this is a business that's constantly evolving, and every area is different because, a lot of promotions don't travel, but we've taken on the responsibility of not only traveling across like Oklahoma, but Texas now and Kansas, and like we're pretty much going all over the place, and it's pretty neat how each town or state, whatever, they're all totally different than the last. So it's always a learning process if you let it be.
So how long have you been wrestling?
Off and on for 11 years. I really thought before IWR, I really thought I was done with wrestling. Could I blow my knee out? And I think it was probably 2000. No, I don't know. Probably 2013 or so. No, I don't remember. I try to forget. But I thought I was done after I blew my knee out, and then Coyote came to me and told me that we just started up one more time, and I was like, oh man, I'm done with that. And as silly as this sounds, like I had this dream about it because it was on my mind, I guess, and I had this dream that we did it, but we didn't stay in Ardmore because for the first 8 years we'd always done nothing but stay in Ardmore. And so, I mean, it's more like a hobby. And so I told him, I was like, all right, I was like, we can do it one more time, but we're going to travel. I don't know how, and I don't know where, but we're going to travel. And then so we did our first show, I guess it was 2014 in August in Ardmore. And then we were lucky enough to get a deal with the Boys and Girls Club in Durant. That was our first deal outside of Ardmore. Following that, and for months we rented a U-Haul until we eventually got our trailer that we have now, and the rest is history. It's kind of crazy, really. I mean, it's like that first year we did 8 shows. This year we're on pace to do like 30 to 40, which for an indie company, which honestly I don't even really consider us an indie company at this point. I mean, that's a pretty crazy schedule, from 8 to 30 to 40 in 3 years.
Wow, that is impressive. Yeah, because when I first heard about you guys, it was with Oklahomania last year, and
yes.
And that was a big thing. And the more after that event, and I was looking at things that you guys have going on, looking at your webpage, I was like, they're kind of the Oklahoma super indie. So you kind of function. You're kind of like Oklahoma's Wrestle Circus or AAW or that kind of thing. Do you feel like that's the role you guys have kind of taken on, because you're building some kind of homegrown regional talent, but you also bring in a lot of talent from other places?
I'm not really sure exactly who Wrestle Circus has grown on their own. Not a knock to them or anything, because they're definitely successful. But I feel like we've definitely grown the best talent out of Oklahoma. I mean, you look at Coyote, for example. To me, Coyote is hands down the best worker in Oklahoma. Montego Suka not far behind him. It's people like that, and Dane Griffin as well. It's people like that we're we can basically bring in anyone that's been in WWE or anywhere else, and one of those guys can handle them, if not all three. You know, I mean, Coyote's worked, Rhino multiple times, John Morrison, him and Kyle Hawk together worked the Von Erichs. I mean, those guys, I mean, Coyote's been in some pretty high-profile matches. You know, he main evented, he main evented all of our Texas shows against the Von Erichs. He main evented, I want to say Rise of the Revolution and Shawnee against Matt Sydal. Maybe that was when Worlds Collide. It was when Worlds Collide. Oaklamania, he took on Chavo Guerrero. I mean, that guy, he can go against anybody. So I think that's probably one of the fine lines between the two promotions, between us and Wrestle Circus, is that. And also, I don't know Al's past, but I do know that Wrestle Circus came into wrestling, with a lot of capital backing them up, whereas we started 3 years ago, honestly, with not $1. So we've done all that in 3 years with nothing, and we've also created our own talent in that time.
That's awesome. Now, are you guys are you guys doing well? I mean, are you guys able to keep going? Is there a bright future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're cruising forward to Oaklamania too. That definitely wouldn't be possible without that. So, past that, we have, it's crazy because we go right from Oaklamania into the Bell County Expo the next week, which is crazy. I mean, that place is huge. It's the Garth Arena and Belton, Texas, and that thing holds, I think, 8,000 people.
Wow.
So I mean, that's going to be we're actually, WWE hasn't even ran there, so it's crazy. We'll be the first people to run there since the Von Erichs, oddly enough, who will be joining us back for Oaklamania 2 and that show as well.
Oh, very good. Now, the next thing you guys have coming up is Hostile Takeover on July 15th, correct?
Yes.
All right, so tell us about that show.
So basically, we try to stop in Paul's Valley once a year. Once again, one of the very first few people that took a chance on us. And so, I try to stay loyal to people that have always given us a chance, no matter how much we grow. Like we always, it's no different than doing the festival with you guys. We'll come back every year as long as you guys have us, and that doesn't impact, how much our company grows, because it's without our, with our partners that we've grown. So I think it's important that you always remember that, because, back in the day, whenever I look at our business model more like world class in a sense, they went everywhere, and they came to the small towns, they went to the big towns, they never forgot anybody. That was like one of my fondest memories as a kid was the first time I got to watch wrestling. It was the Von Erichs, and they'd actually come to Ardmore. And I don't remember. That was like in the late 80s. And so it was, it was very weird for me to have, I guess it was in May, it was late May, for Ross and Marshall to actually win the IWR Tag Team Championships in Ardmore as well. It was weird. It was like the whole thing had come full circle. So,
wow. So what's it been like having grown up being a fan of the Von Erichs and now working with the Von Erichs kids?
Well, the boys are great guys. They're definitely good representatives of both our company and the family name. They're actually defending the IWR titles in Israel today, which is crazy.
Wow.
They have them with them there. And they took pictures with them on top of the mountains of Hawaii, like, I don't remember, last week before, something like that, where they also defended them there. And they're actually teaming with Kevin today. Kevin's coming out of retirement today for, we'll say, one time only. And, Kevin looks in phenomenal shape. It was a very surreal moment. I think the first time that I met Kevin, it was a couple of years ago. I sat down and had breakfast with Ross and Marshall and Kevin, and we sat and talked wrestling. And, he gave me some pointers and was, he's been more than helpful to me, as has Jim Ross. Two of the most influential people in the history of wrestling in our area. And for whatever reason, they take their time to help me out. So I'm very blessed to have that relationship with both of them. Jim Ross helped me put together Oaklamania the first time, and even put his name on it. I haven't seen Jim Ross put his name on anything other than a WWE product. So, very thankful for that as well.
That's awesome. So, speaking of Oaklamania 2 is coming up in October. What do you have planned for this?
Well, honestly, Dave, today is going to tell a lot. Whatever happens today in Israel is going to impact Oaklamania a lot.
Okay, nice. So who are the Von Erichs facing in Israel?
Honestly, they're facing a couple guys from that area and Marty Jannetty. I'm not really sure what the tie-in is there, but yeah, Marty Jannetty. So it's
nice.
It's interesting.
So okay, here's something I've kind of wondered with a lot of folks who are in indie wrestling, and they go from promotion to promotion, and then you win titles in places, and you take those belts with you. How does that? What's the word I'm looking for? What are the mechanics of that like, or how's the Floyd? What's the word I'm looking for? So they win your titles, and they have this trip to Israel. Do they plan with the other promoters, say, hey, we're bringing these belts, we'd like to defend them while we're there, kind of thing? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think, honestly, about forging partnerships. It's no different than, like, forging partnerships with towns and venues and charities and so forth. I mean, you're just forging partnerships with other companies, you know what I mean? And, you just have to be selective about who you do that with, because, wrestling, just like any other business, there's always going to be people that you should and should not partner with. But we've been fortunate enough within the 3 years that everybody that we've had partnerships with, we've held those partnerships, and we continue to do so. So proud of that too.
Excellent. And so on your bigger shows, when you're bringing in people from other promotions, when you're bringing in a Matt Sydal or all the people that you brought in last year for Oaklamania, when you're booking the show, how much do you take into consideration storylines that they have going on elsewhere, or the current state of their characters? Is that something you bring into consideration? Does that just, you throw that out the window? What's the planning part of that like?
We try to work it more around our talent, but if they do have something serious going on, I think last year, whenever we did Oaklamania, was whenever they started, whenever Matt and Jeff started doing the whole broken thing, so naturally we incorporated that into our storylines, because we were like, how are we going to make this tag match happen against War Machine? And honestly, that was one of my favorite parts of Oaklamania last year, was the interaction between Jim Cornette and Matt Hardy. I mean, that was priceless, and so that so sometimes you have to take those things into account, but a lot of times for me, it's about rewarding my people. I mean, if you've seen any of our big shows, I mean, you've seen our talent go toe-to-toe with, some of the best wrestlers in the world, like Matt Sydal, who will also be back for Oaklamania too. So
excellent.
Yeah. Like I said, man, we're very blessed to be able to even give our guys stuff like that.
That's awesome. So, go ahead, Floyd.
Say from my side, as a person that has been to multiple shows, that we definitely appreciate. Me, I go all over the United States watching wrestling, so we really appreciate having you bring in people, and then your homegrown talent is so talented, and y'all always put on an amazing show. And it's just from me, I can say we really appreciate IWR being there.
Thank you very much, Floyd. That means a lot, man. And trust me, like Oaklamania 2 is going to be, it's going to be a big event, and we focused a lot more on Oaklacon this year. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on. So it's, we have everything from like athletes. We're going to have musicians. I mean, it's going to be all over the place. Basically a celebration of Oklahoma. There's going to be a lot of former OU players there. There's going to be, it's going to be a big ordeal this year. We got a lot of activities for the kids. We're going to have some fun activities for the fans too. I mean, we've tossed around like, for example, like having Bruce the Barber come in and like actually possibly give haircuts to people, like just weird stuff that wrestling fans would find cool, and a once in a lifetime deal, and actually using people's gimmick to be able to give a special moment to somebody. So, I mean, we've really put a lot of thought into that convention as well as the event this year. And like I said, on top of that, we go to Temple the following week. We make our way into Kansas. We're finalizing a deal to appear at WrestleCade possibly in November in North Carolina. So, we have so much going on.
Man, so since you mentioned music, I don't know if you know the guys in the Oklahoma City band Red City Radio, but Garrett, the singer, is a huge wrestling fan. So you should reach out to them about see if they can stop by Oklacon. That would be very cool if they're not on tour.
What is their name?
Red City Radio.
Yeah, Dave is the resident musical expert of Around the Ring, so I follow his lead on everything that's good because I don't know anything.
Well, we're looking at having like during OklaCon, we're looking at having bands play throughout the day, whatever the case may be. But the night before, we're looking at doing something special, kind of like a VIP party where fans can actually pay and hear a featured artist and actually hang out with the wrestlers. I mean, we looked into people like some of the big Red Dirt bands from the area, artists from Texas like Paul Wall, Warren G from, everybody knows Warren G. We're trying to do something really special this year, like last year. So, Oaklemania is going to be a big deal. The question is what happens in Israel today, and then there's also the Stinger lurking around Texas, and we got a lot of creative ideas.
Now, have you guys booked anyone yet for Oaklemania or OklaCon that you can tell us about?
Well, we'll be releasing a lot of that info this week. Tickets for Oaklemania go on sale actually the day of Hostile Takeover, July 15th. So, like I said, the Von Erichs will definitely be there, Marshall and Ross. And, there's still other Von Erichs than those two. One of them's wrestling today. So, there's, let's see, Matt Seidel, who will be there, which I said earlier. And, man, that might be all you guys get from me today.
Well, me and Dave will definitely be in the building as far as OklaCon and Oaklemania that day. Like I said, the shows are always awesome. I have become a huge fan of one of your favorites, Chandler the Truth Hopkins. I've become a fan of his because he likes himself.
He definitely does, man. I tell him all the time, I'm like, man, you're like the selfie master. I've never seen somebody take so many pictures of themselves. It's funny because we did this monster truck conglomeration last weekend, and it was definitely adventure. And the promoter, he's like, "Well, I want to see cowboys and Indians," and I'm like, "What in the hell are you talking about?" I was like, "Okay." So, anyways, we had Chandler and one of our other guys, Cody Dixon, actually be cowboys for the weekend, and it actually went over so well that this weekend when we were in Kansas, we're in Hutchinson today, working with another promotion. They actually wanted them to do it again, so it kind of started off as a joke, but it kind of really, I guess really a lot of people liked it. And, they came out as a team called the Young Guns. They actually came out to Bon Jovi's song from the movie Young Guns, Blaze of Glory. And so it's kind of funny, but Chandler and Cody both, man, those are also more of our homegrown talent who have only been in the business for a year. And, in our shows we did in the Metroplex, Chandler teamed with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Cody, went against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. In a year, those guys have done that, so.
That's really impressive.
Man, we produce some of the best regional talent possible. I honestly don't think that you find any better talent in the state of Oklahoma than what we've produced.
So do you have do you feel like you're grooming some of these guys, or do you have any fears of them eventually moving on to other promotions or getting signed by some of the bigger groups out there?
No, not at all. That's what you want, right? You want people to get out to the right promotions. You want them to know their worth. You don't want them to just wrestle for anybody here and there. You want to be selective, know your worth, know who you are. But of course, you want your people to, if that's their goal, is to get signed by WWE or TNA. Of course you want them to, because in the end, you should want what's best for the company as a whole and the people that lay it on the line for you every day, not just yourself.
Yeah, and I got to correct you. That's GFW now, sir. Let's get it right.
They did change that, didn't they? Is that like legally changed and everything?
Yeah, no, it's the logo. It's still called the show's still called Impact Wrestling, but it says GFW in the little octagon thing. Yep.
Oh, well, look at that. Well, I texted Jeff the other day, and I was looking for Ken Shamrock, who's apparently very, very elusive, man. I was thinking, man, this guy, nobody knows how to get hold of him. He must not be very nice or something. He doesn't have very many friends. Because I have a lot of contacts in the wrestling industry, and, man, nobody knows that guy. I actually congratulated Jeff on that. I think that's an excellent move for them, because I think the name TNA. I think the brand had worn itself out, and it's it's important for the business and wrestling as a whole that we have as many profitable and good companies to make the business better as a whole. Like you guys mentioned earlier, Wrestle Circus in Texas, us in Oklahoma, but then there's also Impact, Ring of Honor. We need all these places to be healthy. I thought it was also amazing that New Japan came in and had back-to-back sold-out shows. That's awesome. I mean, we need things like that. So I think it's good for the business that they changed that name.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating that you've got overall wrestling is by the general public considered not very cool, and WWE is somehow making money hand over fist, but is really popularity-wise is nowhere near what it once was. But I think the indies, in a lot of ways, are thriving better than they have possibly since the territory days. Because you've got promotions, you guys, all the different regional ones, and you've got your Evolves and all Ring of Honor, all these promotions that are packing people into shows, and they keep going. So they're obviously making enough money to at least pay their bills and keep it moving, and I think that's fantastic. Because the more choices people have, I think the better, and it's also better the more places people have to wrestle. And I tell you what, I was so impressed with y'all at Rose Rock this year back in May. The whole show was fantastic, and I got to give my hats off to Malico. That guy lives that character, man. That paint came on because for those of you who weren't there, IWR wrestled basically two sets and in between, Malico walked around in full getup. It was awesome.
That's Keegan's probably one of the most creative people that I've come across in wrestling, and like a lot of times, I don't really have I pretty much let my guys have creative control until they give me a reason not to. And he's one of those that scripts his own things, and other than the storylines he's working at the moment, and then you come across certain people and you just know like they're special, and he's one of those people.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him, and I was really impressed with Coyote and Kyle Hawk, the Aero Club. The way they were ripping into the crowd, I think at one point one of them threatened to beat up a kid.
Yeah,
and it was just fantastic.
The Aero Club is so over, and it's funny because whenever Kyle first came to me about bringing Kyle in, their faces in a lot of promotions, and I was like, no, I was like, you guys are going to come in, you're going to be heels, and Kyle was so against it because he didn't understand, and I'm like, man, I was like, look at the history of Oklahoma and Texas and how you can twist this and get, you automatically garner cheap heat off people that don't know you from the way you can come in and speak about the history of America. I was like, this is like natural garnered heat. I mean, this isn't like wrestling where you have to make up storylines. I mean, this is stuff that really happened, and you can play that off. And they've come in and really, like, in my opinion, the feud they have with the Von Erichs is probably like one of the biggest feuds since like the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, oddly enough. That's kind of like what we compared it to, because it just kept going, and people loved it. And so, I think the Aero Club, those guys have gotten looks from Jeff Jarrett and Global Force. So, I think that the future is so bright for them. And, like I said, impacting what happens today in Israel, they could possibly get the biggest chance of their life. And that's awesome.
Do you know who they're? Well, you already mentioned who they're facing, a team from there. So when I just had a question, I think I lost it. Crap, I hate it when that happens.
When will we know? We will probably know next week sometime. Honestly, I mean, okay. I don't know if they plan on coming back from Israel, but whenever they come back, pending what happened in that match and pending Kevin's health, I think the Aero Club might have the biggest match of their life, and they might have to call on their Aero Club grandpa Tatanka to come help them. Who knows?
Nice.
That's something I definitely want to reiterate with as far as the shows. We've alluded to it a lot, but I think the reason your show is popular and local wrestling and independent wrestling is so popular in general is because of the fan-friendly, the fan interaction nature of it. It's something that, you know, you don't get with the WWE. You just, you meet the people before the show, you talk to them, get their autographs, they're all friendly, they're all awesome people, and then you get to see them work and do what they love to do, and it's amazing, and there's just more of a connection, especially with Jerry the Boss. Jerry the Boss, he'd call a fan out quickly, and it was just amazing, you know, that interaction. You would make a person's night by just calling them out. So it's not something you get a lot from the WWE. And if you know, when you're in there and it's 18,000 people and they trying to, you know, they may pick one person, but you're like, hey, they yell at you, you reply back to what they say. And I just thought that was so awesome when I go to your shows.
Man, I think that's just one of those deals, like you said, like the landscape of wrestling is changing once again. I don't think that anybody at this point will be able to catch WWE for a number of reasons, but you know, you can go out and put on your own product, and it's like, what do you represent as a company, and what do you represent as a person? And you know, like our version of wrestling is more like you know, more old school. You know, the old school mentality of things, because you know, back whenever wrestling hit its boom period, it's like, if it's not broke, why fix it? And so I think we try to stick to the old school mentality of things. That's why we still, you know, like Wrestle Circus, they typically use a lot of the, you know, like Ring of Honor type workers, and you know, like us, we use a mixture of everything. Like, my goal is to hit every demographic. I want something that everybody can enjoy, and we try to always bring in good people that are not only involved in just the wrestling, but they're involved with people as well. Like you said, like myself, you know, like people that will take the time to involve the fans, because you think about it, and our crowds are typically families, and not necessarily people that go home and watch Ring of Honor every week and study all 78 of their high spots per match. People that go home or they come to these shows and they don't know that much about wrestling. They might know who Hacksaw Jim Duggan is or somebody like that, and they just want to be involved, you know? It's like, to me, it's about giving those people, like, just giving them special moments to take home that they're going to remember for the rest of their life.
Very cool. Now, you guys do stuff on YouTube. Do you film most of your shows and put them online, or and is that, have you felt any of the ill effects of what YouTube has done to pro wrestling content?
I mean, the internet's, man, it's a good and bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, it enables you to reach people you never would have reached before, but in the same aspect, you know, it enables people to see so much content for free that, and you know, it probably hurts WWE worse than it hurts anybody. I mean, you know, they can find numerous ways to watch their shows to where people don't have to go live. But, you know, in my mind, being a fan, there will never be anything that outdoes the live experience. So that's why, like our shows, even our big shows like Oklahomania, I mean, they're just going to be a $10 ticket, you know. I mean, so we make everything affordable for families, regardless what we do or who's there.
That's awesome. Well, you have any final thoughts before we let you go here on this fine Sunday morning?
Man, I tell you what, guys. Like I said, we're so looking forward to the future. It's hard to believe that, man, like, we've done all this in 3 years, you know. And so Oklahomania is like it'll be the second anniversary this year of that show, and we're really looking forward to that. And like I said, we're putting our heart into it this year, and the convention as well. So, you know, I really look forward to some big things in the next couple of weeks. It's kind of the landscape pans out. You know, like I said, there's Kevin Von Erich wrestling today. There's Sting in the works. I mean, there's a lot of big things. We might see a Road Warrior appearance at Oklahomania. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things going on.
Very cool. So where can people, if they have never watched IWR, don't know anything about you, where can people find you guys online?
They can find us on our website, ImperialWrestlingRevolution.com. You can find us on Facebook under the same, on Twitter at IW Revolution. We have an Instagram, and I forget what the hell it's under. Chandler the Hopkins, he runs it. I can't believe he doesn't post more pictures of himself on there than he does, but he runs the Instagram whenever he has time to, you know, not post pictures of himself. So we have that too. We also have our YouTube channel. We're kind of behind on content on that, but we're getting caught up. So pretty soon, you know, like Fight TV is also now one of our partners on our big shows like Oklahomania. So Oklahomania 2 will eventually be broadcast on that, as well as the Temple show and possibly all of the shows that we did in the Metroplex. So
nice. Excellent.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, we actually have a return date to the Gas Monkey coming up too. So, and that was an amazing venue. Gas Monkey Live was so beautiful. I mean, my goodness, that was a wonderful place to go. I mean, really, all three places were really neat in their own ways in the Metroplex. So that was definitely a learning curve for us to go to that area. A lot different than Oklahoma, but. Forney and Quinlan, we have return trips there planned. I mean, we have so much going on. My goodness, it's weird because it's like I contacted Dave the other day to book the festival again. I was like, seriously, like we're already booked through May of next year. That's crazy.
That is crazy, but that's awesome. That means you guys are doing something right. People are enjoying it. If you are in the Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas area, if you see Imperial Wrestling Revolution coming to your town or near you at all, it is well worth checking out. They're going to be at the Rose Rock Festival next May. Oklahomania is coming up in October, and this coming the 15th of July, you guys are going to be down in it was Paul's Valley, right?
Yes, sir. Paul's
right.
Valley.
So
they're available on Wire.
Yeah, if you're near the area, go check it out. Jerry the Boss Bostic, thank you very much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you guys very much for having me anytime.
All right, big thanks again to Jerry the Boss Bostic for joining us here on Around the Ring. Anytime, if you get a chance, if you were in the Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas areas, if you hear about Imperial Wrestling Revolution coming near you, I said it a few months ago, but I'm just going to say it again, go to the show. It's well worth it. I had a great time. Oklahomania 2 and OklaCon coming up in October is going to be fantastic. So you got to check it out. And that's pretty much going to do it for this week Around the Ring. Floyd's about to hop in his car, head down to Dallas to watch the Great Balls of Fire. I still can't believe they called a fucking pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire. What seriously, why?
It's one of those things. It kind of sticks along to me. I don't know why he went with Great Balls of Fire. I was watching the old Great American Bashes, and I was just like, why didn't they just do a Great American Bash? I just couldn't buy it. I couldn't think of it. I'm pretty good at justifying the WWE's actions. Got nothing.
Yeah, okay. I don't feel so bad then. So it makes. I don't think it makes sense to anyone except for probably Vince.
Why did they call it the Great American Bash? It's 5 days after the 4th of July.
Because that is not a WWE created thing, and if we have learned anything from Vince McMahon over the years is that he does not like pushing things that he doesn't make. It's very rare. So the fact that Samoa Joe is being pushed as strong as he is, the fact that AJ Styles has had the run he's had since he's been in WWE are all just kind of crazy. But yeah, so tomorrow the recap is a little bit different. We are going to have one. Floyd is going to record his half, and I'm going to record mine separately. I have an engagement in the morning. I'm going to volunteer at a food bank with my daughter. So we're going to do that tomorrow morning, and we are get something. It'll be up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Around the Ring OK, and then the day after it'll be on our regular podcast feed, so you'll be able to check that out. And that's pretty much going to do it for this week. Now Floyd, I do have a question for you. Is this all for real?
Man, through my journeys going from coast to coast in the United States and my many conversations with wrestlers, I learned that life, my friends, is all a work. Don't forget to kick out at 2. We'll see you next time Around the Ring.
Drummer get wicked.